Good evening, everyone. I call to order this Board of Education meeting today, Monday, November 10th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, again. The first item on our agenda is the recognition of the outgoing Board of Ed members. Today is the last meeting for the outgoing Board of Education members, so Dr. De Silva and I will say a few words about them, and then if they so choose, they can say a few words as well. Mr. Collin is not with us, unfortunately, so he is missed. Dr. De Silva, would you like me to start?
Sure.
Okay. So serving on the board is not an easy role. We're entrusted with decisions that impact about 4,500 children, and because it's about kids, it touches something deep within us. It brings out our instinct to protect, to nurture, and make the very best choices we can. People look to Board of Education members to make decisions that reflect the diverse values and hopes of every Richfield family, and that's no small task. We're asked to create policies that shape the future for all our students while balancing what's important to each family. Sometimes that means we make decisions that may not be what our neighbor or a friend expected, and that can be hard. Not because the work isn't rewarding, it truly is. But I want everyone to know, and I'm going to emphasize this, that behind these seats, we are parents, we're your neighbors, and we're your friends. We feel, we care, and we're deeply committed. I was appointed to this board 5 years ago, but my first campaign was with people who are sitting at this table and one who's missing. Amy, Tom, and Selena. Over the years, we've connected far beyond our roles as board members. We haven't always agreed, we've taken different paths, but we've always shared the same goal, doing what's best for our kids. Through it all, we've connected as people, and that to me matters the most. Amy, your passion for the arts and education has been unwavering. Your teacher's heart shines through in every conversation, in how you approach curriculum and how you advocate for students, and the care you bring to every decision. Your insight and energy has been such a gift to this board and to Richfield. And beyond the board, you are my friend. We've shared this journey in a way that goes beyond, deeper than just the work we do, and I will truly miss that part of it with you. Thank you for all you've given to this district, to the board, and to me personally. Selena, your passion has always spoken for itself. You've never hesitated to speak and share your perspective or lead with heart. You wear your heart on your sleeve, and that is the most unique ability about you. That kind of honesty has kept us growing, thinking, and leading, so thank you. Tom's not here, but I know I've said this multiple times about him. He has brought remarkable clarity and ability to take a long, winding discussion that we sometimes tend to do and get right to the heart of it in just a few sentences. He has brought clarity and balance and reminded us to see both the forest and the trees. He's been a strong voice for alternative high school and the transition program and for the arts. I know he's made this board and me a better board member. Serving alongside all of you has been an honor. We've shared very, very long nights, negotiations. We've had very hard conversations and some wonderful moments of laughter too. Through it all, we've supported each other in ways big and small, and that quiet strength is what I will remember the most. Truly, thank you for your service, your time, and your care for all the students of Richfield.
Thank you. So every 4 years or so, the Board of Education experiences some type of transition. For both the board, of course, and my colleagues and me, we welcome new faces. We have to get to know everyone and what you value, but the important work doesn't change. So our shared focus remains on what's best for our students, staff, and our school. Tonight, on behalf of our team, and Joe couldn't be here, I wanted to take a few moments to acknowledge our departing members, Judge Thomas Collin, Ms. Selena Bell, and Ms. Amy Casey, for their service, dedication, a lot of time, and commitment to our schools. Over time, we've come to understand each board member's values, priorities, and style. Judge Collin has been a strong advocate for the A School and also expanding post-high school career and technical education opportunities, along with many other things, as has Ms. Bell, who has been a consistent voice for supporting student mental health and wellness. Ms. Casey brought the heart of a teacher to her work, focused on academic excellence while also nurturing opportunities in math, science, and the arts with a wealth of warmness. As we've worked together, we've shared our challenges and made some very difficult decisions while also celebrating some successes. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge those. Security changes, both facility and infrastructure, has come as a result of the hands of the members of this board and 3 of those that are outgoing. World language, significant changes in curriculum and updating that curriculum. And probably one of the most important, at least in my heart right now, is at Prospect Ridge. And I think all of you should be incredibly, incredibly proud of that work. And in doing so, together, we've built a sense of trust and shared purpose that strengthens our work and the work of our schools. And when members move on, whether we agree or disagree at times or not, at other times when we completely agree, you leave a professional and a personal impact on all of us. So I know that on behalf of Cabinet, we're deeply grateful for your contributions, the time, the thought, and the heart that you've given the community, and most importantly, the children of Ridgefield Public Schools. So we wish all 3 of you, Selena, Amy, and Tom, who couldn't be here, all the best in the next chapter in your journeys, and thank you for the lasting imprint on the Ridgefield Public Schools. And as we thank those that are departing, we are pleased to welcome back Tina Malhotra as our board chair, and welcome new members, Ms. Angela Rice, Ms. Catherine Graff, and Mr. Scott Siegel. I hope I pronounced that right. And we look forward to the shared purpose that will continue to strengthen our schools.
Thank you, Dr. De Silva.
And there are some chocolates on your chair,
Okay.
which you can eat in front of us if you'd like.
I did miss to mention, I do want to highlight the roles that all 3 outgoing members did play in the board. Ms. Casey has been vice chair on the board for 2 years. She's served for 4 years on the curriculum committee, including being the committee chair. She's been in budget and finance for 3 years. She's been on negotiation committee for all the bargaining units, and she was the PTA council rep, so thank you. Ms. Bell, Selena, you've been on the policy committee for 4 years. You've been in the strategic planning committee for 3 years. You were on the budget and finance committee for 1 year, and you were education foundation rep. And for Mr. Collin, he was on policy committee for 3 years. He was in budget and finance for 1 year. He was chair for the strategic planning committee and for 2 years, and he was on the Board of Education bylaw revision committee. So you truly did a lot of work in the last 4 years. So again, thank you so much for every single thing you've done. Would you like to, I think we should. Would anyone of you like to say a few words? Ms. Casey?
Just thank you. It's been great, and I wish you all the best of luck. As someone who has 4 kids in the school right now, I definitely wish that RPS is successful, not just for my kids, but for all the kids and for the entire community. So thank you.
Ms. Bell?
First, I want to just say thank you to the entire Board of Ed and the administration. I feel a little sad tonight. I've learned something from every single one of you, and I've actually grown to appreciate every single person sitting at this table. So I know you're right, I do kind of wear my heart on my sleeve. And my mom told me a long time ago not to do that. And I appreciate all the patience that you all have given me. Every single one of you hold a special place in my heart. I'm proud to have served with all of you. And I also want to say thank you to the parents and the teachers and everybody else who makes this district so very special. I feel honored that you all have let me be a part of this organization and this group, so thank you. And I actually will miss you, so stay in touch.
Right. Okay, that was a little emotional. But just, again, every one of you, thank you. We really campaign together. We become family when you campaign and you do this together, so thank you again. All right, moving on to public comment. I have two names, so I'm going to call you Ms. Britt Friedman. You know how it works now.
I do.
Thank you.
Jackie Britt Friedman, Split Level Road. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the outgoing members, and thank you to everyone. I particularly greatly appreciate the time and effort this board and administration has taken to listen to the community and craft a revised policy on student smartphone use at RHS. It's not what I think is best for our high school students, but I think it's better. What we've missed in this discussion are the voices of the teachers and mental health staff. I look forward to seeing the data that you collected so that there is transparency as to their positions as stakeholders. Mandating the phone hotels in classrooms is a great added step. I do wonder how RHS is going to enforce the new phone restrictions outside of the classroom and who is going to enforce them. Phones are in phone hotels in the first place because the draw of the addictive technology was too much and teachers were right in front of the students. How do you envision this working without as much monitoring? Prohibiting online gaming, gambling, and social media during the school day is fantastic. But of course, a policy is moot if it cannot be implemented well. Having worked in schools for many years, I'm very familiar with the back and forth that takes place between students and teachers and the issues that arise when technology misuse is suspected. I hope that the committee that's formed looks at this on an ongoing basis and whether it's accomplishing the task in a feasible way. I'm eager to hear not only about this, but about the phone-free spaces that will be created at RHS. Given what we know about how the powerful draws of phones, phone-free spaces have to be pretty enticing. Again, I hope this is evaluated by the committee in an ongoing way. My hope and expectation is that the school collects data about how it's going and shares it with the community. As you may know, there are many tools, including ones that I and others have sent, that evaluate district phone policies. I trust you see the importance in collecting baseline information, not just about how kids are doing in the classroom, but outside the classroom. 2, I continue to hear from parents that the current policy has been working, but it's hard to define what that means if just in-class distraction is the measurement. If we care about kids' social and emotional well-being, we must measure how they're doing outside of the classroom with these policies as well. Again, thank you for the incredible efforts to listen to the community and draft this revised policy and your dedication to our students. I look forward to hearing how you think about the issues I raised and the details around how the school plans to implement this drafted policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Beebe? Yes, you have.
Hi, I'm Andrea Beebe, 378 Main Street. I'm here, I'm not a parent currently. I'm a grandparent. My own children went through the Ridgefield Public Schools from K through 12. I have one son that's 40. He has 3 daughters, one in Branchville right now, 2 will be going into Branchville. I have a son that lives in London who has a 6-year-old daughter who's enrolled in school there, will hopefully be coming back to Ridgefield. So I follow very closely, and I have for years, what happens in the Ridgefield Public Schools. Years ago, when my children were at Farmingville, I was on the PTA. Some of you know I drove a school bus for 4 years. So I drove a lot of children around the town, and I got to know a lot of parents and a lot of different situations. I went on to graduate school and got my master's in special ed. And I was a teacher for many years in the Westport Public School System at Staples High School. I loved every minute of it. So why am I here tonight? I'm here to say thank you to all of you who are leaving the board. Selena, I wear my emotions on my sleeve, like you. I get it. And to Tom and to Amy. Amy, I talked to Amy about a year ago about curriculum for a civics course that I had written when I was at Staples High School. But the main reason I'm here tonight, because I'm not sure I'll be here next week to welcome the new members onto the board, is I really have been so impressed, and I admired the leadership of Ms., I can't say your last name, Tina Malhotra, and I'm here to speak on her behalf, that when you consider a new chair for the next year, that you consider re-upping her, re-electing her, because I think she has led this board with good grace, consciousness, maturity, respect, which to me is huge, and willing to listen to all points of view, and does it in such a nice way, sometimes from Scotland. And the fact that she will get on a phone from Scotland and call into a Board of Ed meeting, that to me shows dedication. So I am here tonight as now a grandparent with children in the school system. And I am so admirable, I admire so much what you all do, and it shows by the rankings and all that, but I don't judge a school by rankings. I judge a school by what happens in a classroom and the relationship between a child and his teacher, and the teacher and the parents, that I would like to, just wholeheartedly thank you all and put my support behind Tina. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those were the two names I have. Anyone else? Of course.
Good evening. Kelsey Rollinson, West Lane. To all the board members and administration and the outgoing board members who have served this board so remarkably, I'm here to express my appreciation for the hard work that has been done by so many of you over the past several months on this topic, or more actually, on forming a more restrictive cell phone policy at the high school. While the proposed revised policy that was put forth today may not be exactly what some of us had envisioned, many of us see real progress in the gains that were made, including mandatory phone-free classrooms, prohibitions on social media, gambling, and gaming during the school day, and the creation of phone-free spaces at Ridgefield High School. These are meaningful steps forward. I feel like a quote from a historic figure might be warranted here. So as Theodore Roosevelt once reminded us, nothing worth having comes easy. Every bit of progress counts, and even the smallest steps move us forward. I didn't have much time this afternoon to study the new proposal in detail, but I look forward to learning more and hearing about the ongoing discussion around it. I look forward to hearing more about the committee that will be formed to elicit more information from stakeholders. But I think it's also important for us to continue to evaluate and listen to the outcomes of other Connecticut schools. And so I wanted to use some of my time to read from an article that was recently posted titled, "Connecticut Superintendents See Positive Outcomes After Phone Bans." Across our state, superintendents and teachers are reporting remarkably consistent results. Since enacting restrictions on cell phones, districts have seen improved student engagement, fewer discipline issues, and stronger academic performance. In New Haven, the superintendent said that in cafeterias and hallways, quote, kids are actually talking to one another and having conversations. Torrington superintendent noted that, quote, students are learning to be better communicators without technology as their crutch, unquote. Students themselves described the difference. One senior said, quote, people are talking more. There's a stronger sense of community and school spirit, unquote. Another shared that before the ban, students used phones and headphones to hide from interaction, but now they feel more connected. Academically, schools are also seeing results. In Waterbury, SAT scores have risen above pre-pandemic levels since their phone policy began. Torrington has seen notable academic growth across grade levels, while Manchester reported 600 fewer discipline referrals after its high school implemented the ban. Teachers across districts say students are more focused, instruction moves faster, and classroom environments are calmer and more positive. These are measurable, meaningful outcomes, and they're happening right here in Connecticut, including in some of our closer peer districts like schools like Darien, Wilton, and Westport is having some success as well. So while we know this work isn't finished, I think we all can take heart in knowing that we're on the right path. Ridgefield's steps toward a more focused, balanced, and connected school environment are significant, and I hope the district continues moving toward a fully distraction-free school day. But I thank you for the efforts and for all that you've done to listen to what we've had to say.
Thank you. 3 minutes, too. Anyone else? Dawn, Tommy was no, come on. Tommy, come on. So Tommy, just say your name, and then you have 3 minutes after that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So my name is Tommy Casey. I am a current 9th grader at the Ridgefield High School. First, I would like to thank all of you for putting in so much work to better our school system as a whole. I recently came to the high school from Scottsridge Middle School. In Scottsridge Middle School, there were many students using their phones during classes, and I feel like it was too much for the teachers to handle. However, in the high school, all teachers actually have been using the phone hotels, which has diminished the amount of phone usage during academic periods. This has been This has been very good because students, I believe, have been paying much more attention. However, with the proposition for a restriction on phones during all of the school day, I feel like that would not be as beneficial because during these free periods, many students use this time to unwind and they do talk to their friends. And when I'm in the cafeteria, I do not see people just on their phones, all separated, just playing games. Instead, I see people talking with each other and communicating, even with their phones, to show pictures or other activities and to plan events. Because of this, I feel like the students have actually grown closer. In addition, many students text their parents or older students, such as the juniors and the seniors, talk with their bosses. This is very important because things can change, and rather than needing to go to the central office to communicate with their parents, the students can just do this by themselves, which teaches in them to be independent, which is a vital skill for when they go to college and entering their adult lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tommy. Please. Ms. Callahan?
Good evening, Dawn Marie Callahan, Ridgewood Road. I'm not a fan of change. Change is hard, but change is often needed. And I want to just take a moment to say how much I've appreciated when members of our Board of Ed have stepped out on a limb, often on their own, and not necessarily in step with others, but they've still done it and wearing their hearts on their sleeves. I think that they've always had the students in mind and that they've always been sure to live up to their role for this town. So I want to say thank you for your time spent and served because it has not gone unnoticed. And I know Tom isn't here right now, but I really appreciate when he took the time to motion 2 years ago before the budget vote to try to get our art teachers back. And you seconded that motion, Selena, and it meant the world because it meant that people were being heard and that our art students matter. And not just our music students, and I don't want to compete with them because we shouldn't have to, but there should not be a loser in the equation of essentials. They are all essential. So thank you to Tom. Thank you, Selena. Thank you for everybody who serves. And I wish the new Board of Ed members to take it a step further, to not kick the can down the road and to maybe get us to the finish line this time with some of these topics, because mental health comes across many different paths. And our students in art and our healthy start times and sleep, there are so many places that we need to take this further and not just lag behind other districts, but be innovators and not just wait for state mandates. So thank you.
Anyone else? Right. You will have opportunity at end of the meeting. Moving on to reports. I'm just very quickly going to just congratulate to all the newly elected board members who will be joining us. Ms. Rice, Ms. Graff, and Mr. Siegel. Their first meeting will be on the 24th. They will be joining us for the tri-board. So the tri-board meeting is on November 18th. And I hope everybody pays attention and please attend. It is an open public meeting. Again, I just can't, you know what, Dr. De Silva, we missed. Miss Marino, congratulations. So Miss Marino was an appointment for Miss London, but she was elected, so she is elected for the next 2 years. Thank you for that reminder, Miss Moore, because I had noted that, and I think we forgot to mention. So she's also newly elected or back to the board, however it is. So yes, the tri-board is on November 18th. I hope you can join us for that. And the first meeting of the new board will be on the 24th. And we look forward to, just like every other past new boards, they will be training for the new board members. Dr. De Silva and her team will be reaching out to it. We will also have a meeting with CAPE. Connecticut Associations of Boards of Education have their new member training as well. And in fact, if you can't make the training in CAPE when it's happening in December, I will ask them to come and have a special training for all the new board members. And lastly, CAPE has its annual event on 21st, 22nd, I think the next weekend. All these invites have been sent to the board members. I understand it is a very tough time. It is tough to get away for that weekend. So again, if you do miss that, not a problem. I am a CAPE area director. We will bring all that information, all the learning that happens, all the PD that happens back to this board. And just for every new board member, I would just like to remind that it is important that you take care and you take part, and if you can, participate in the CAPE PD. Apparently, I'm the only one earning points by CAPE at this point. I did not know you do not really get anything off it, but it's great to have those points. And I believe before me, Ms. Stamatis had a lot of points. I'm going to try to overcome those.
All right.
Yeah,
So maybe
so
it'll get you a
that's-
plane ticket somewhere, I don't know, on a holiday.
Hopefully. And just lastly, to everyone who ran, it is very tough to put yourself out there. It is really incredibly tough. So thank you for your work. Thank you for always doing that. And I think it really makes Richfield a better place when you put yourself out there, when you're willing to stand behind your beliefs. So thank you for that. Dr. Silva?
Thank you so much. So I apologize as well, Ms. Marino. You slid right back in, and congratulations to you as well. In your short time with us, we imagine that you're going to continue the good work and asking really good questions. A big happy birthday to Cheryl Cook in the back, the superintendent's assistant,
Happy
along with the
birthday.
board secretary. Anyone who knows Cheryl recognizes what an asset she is, so big happy birthday to Cheryl. And for her birthday, she gets to be here all night with us. Veterans Day events happening across our schools. I had the opportunity to stop at East Ridge today and Ridgeberry Elementary School, seeing both groups of students. It just, obviously, what's wrong? Oh, I saw your mom. Yes, it was a great event at both schools, and a big congratulations to all the children that engaged in that process. But most importantly, just as a recognition of what the day is, which is Veterans Day, and recognizing all of those who have served our country and given us the freedoms that we have. Well, I'm speaking, so I have to use mine. I'm going to keep going. Our musicals have begun. We had the opportunity to watch today at VP their practice run, which is Willy Wonka. And this weekend, we have Puff at the high school. So for those of you that would like a great night out, $10 a ticket, what a bargain. Performances are scheduled for the 13th through the 15th at 7 o'clock, with a special sensory-friendly family matinee on Saturday, November 15th at 1 o'clock. So hopefully you can get out and support our students. And that is it for me tonight. Again, congratulations to all.
Thank you, Dr. De Silva. Committee chairs?
The curriculum committee met, we had our first meeting on October 31st, and, is this on? I'm sorry. Our curriculum committee meeting, we had our first one on October the 31st. 2 items were discussed, although it was an extremely lengthy meeting with lots of great discussion. The first agenda item was measurement of growth and proficiency report on 2025 state standardized assessments. There were presentations, comprehensive presentations on the Smarter Balance assessment and ELA and math, the SAT school day in grade 11, and next gen science assessments in grades 5, 8, and 11. And I'm sorry, the SBAC was grades 3 through 8. And there was a wonderful, I want to thank Corey and her team for that excellent comprehensive presentation. And there was a real lengthy discussion of questions and answers that followed. So I encourage the community to check that out and watch the meeting. And the second item that we discussed was RHS counseling. And there was a presentation on regarding the roles and responsibilities of the RHS counseling department, and questions and discussion followed as well. So if you didn't tune in on the 31st, please go on our website and watch. It was a great meeting. Thank you. And our next meeting will be on January the 30th, 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Any other committee chairs? Sean?
We did have a riveting 35-minute Budget and Finance Committee meeting Thursday, last week, and we'll be reviewing some of that data later in the meeting.
Thank you. John?
We had a policy committee meeting earlier today. We discussed 6 policies. 3 of them will be coming to the board for repeal on cyberbullying, corporal punishment, and gang activity. And then 3 others will be coming to the board for consideration of revisions. That includes hazing, electronic surveillance, and the use of private technology devices by students. Obviously, that last policy has generated a lot of interest in the district. I encourage everyone to take a look at that. Please watch the whole video. I think a lot of important things were discussed, even on the policies that we're repealing. And it was a great meeting. So hopefully, we'll have an opportunity to discuss all 6 of those policies at an upcoming meeting, board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other reports? No. Moving on to the approval of the October 27 minutes.
I move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from their regular meeting held on October 27th, 2025.
Thank you, John. Do we have a second? Christine, are there any edits? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any abstentions? Wyatt? Motion carries. Thank you. Rep reports. First is the RHS student.
Hi everyone, I'm Camille, the RHS Student Body President, and I'm so excited to be back here tonight to update you all about the recent activities at RHS. First off, I'm most excited to share that the seniors won our annual Spirit Week. It was a tough battle though between all 4 grades, and I was a little nervous after day 3, but the class of 2026 decked out in Spirit Week for all 5 days and won $1,000 towards their class treasury. The senior class planned a fantastic pep rally that brought everyone together to close the week that was filled with amazing performances and lots of fun games. This year we introduced our school-wide rock, paper, scissors competition, which was a huge success. Students and teachers were seen throughout the hallways during passing time having fun and participating. In addition to the pep rally, rock, paper, scissors, daily scavenger hunts, and Instagram hashtag competitions, our food drive was actually the most successful. We well exceeded our goal of 2,000 items, and earlier this afternoon, The Student Government Executive Board, along with myself, hauled over 6 cars stuffed with donations to the Family and Children's Aid in Danbury. As well, the fall sports season is coming to a close. Our teams have been quite busy competing in state championships and quarterfinal and semifinal games. Boys soccer, field hockey, and volleyball all won their first games but lost in the quarterfinal round. Our girls cross-country team finished 9th at the State Open on Monday, while our boys finished 5th to advance to Saturday's New England Championships as when they placed 12th as a team. The girls swim and dive team head into the class LL finals tomorrow, and the girls soccer team had a great week and defeated both Simsbury and Mercy on the road and advanced to the class LL semifinals, which are on Wednesday. In addition, a big congratulations to Madeline McCartan and Liam Christian on being named RHS's FCAC Exemplary Scholar Athletes of the fall season. These two fall seniors have showed their ability to balance field hockey and soccer while also excelling in academics and their extracurriculars. Halloween was a big party at RHS. Faculty and students came to school decked out in their costumes, and student government also passed out candy during lunch waves. Our No Place for Hate Assembly is right around the corner. The RHS juniors and seniors have been busy preparing for it. Student leaders underwent Anti-Defamation League's training a few weeks ago and discussed how we can make our school community more inclusive. The assembly will take place on Tuesday, November 18th, and we're very excited to present it to our sophomores. They will engage in various activities, listen to a panel of student speakers, and learn how we can all be change makers. Coming up, the RHS Performing Arts are putting on a spectacular performance of Puffs. They've all been putting in so much hard work and late nights, and I know it's going to be great. Additionally, they will be putting on a special sensory-friendly performance on Saturday. Congratulations to all those involved. In addition, before Thanksgiving break, we are welcoming back our alumni for our annual alumni panel. Seniors will have the opportunity to ask the panel any burning questions they have. And as seniors finish up their applications, thank God November 1st passed, it is safe to say that we all can't wait to hear more about college life and how they're all doing. If any RHS alumni are out there and want to be a part of the panel, please feel free to contact Student Life. And that's all I have for tonight, and thank you to you all.
Thank you. Any rep?
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I know we don't normally do it together, but it is the month of Thanksgiving, and we have a lot to be grateful for, so we thought it would be best if you heard from both of us. So, hello, everybody. It's nice to be here. My name is Liz Carlin. I'm the Vice President of NEAR.
Oh, and sorry, wasn't my part yet. I'm Mary Ellen Foley, President of NEAR.
We want to offer a warm welcome and congratulations to our newest Board of Education members. We look forward to working alongside you in service to our students. Your role is vital, and we appreciate your commitment. To our departing members, we extend our gratitude for your dedicated service. The time, energy, and difficult decisions you contributed have profoundly shaped our schools, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. But our success is not achieved in silos. It's built on a foundation of deep collaboration. The partnerships between the board, Dr. De Silva and her team, and the teachers in the classroom are the engine that drives student growth. When we are all aligned and listen to and support one another, we create the best possible outcomes for every child. We are deeply committed to continuing to strengthen these essential relationships. And we also want to express our deep appreciation for the hard work of our educators. Teachers across the district show up every day with passion, adaptability, and unwavering commitment, managing a workload that extends beyond the school day. Teachers closed out Q1 meticulously grading and assessing student progress. They are dedicating hours to meaningful parent-teacher conferences, coordinating vital events like concerts, art shows, and field trips, running essential and meaningful after-school clubs, activities, and sports. This commitment, from core academics to extracurricular support, is truly commendable. Thank you to our teachers.
After watching the recent curriculum committee meeting, we wanted to share a few reflections on behalf of our teachers. This year, our focus continues to be on teacher retention, professional growth, and meaningful support for educators. Through the work of our PDEC committee, we've developed systems that encourage continual learning and goal setting for teachers at every level. That work has strengthened professional practice and in turn improved the experiences of students across Ridgefield. We want to express our appreciation to the central office team for the thoughtful presentation of test score data by grade level across district rather than by individual schools. That decision reflects a real commitment to collaboration, consistency, and shared growth. It reinforces the idea that every student, no matter what school they attend, benefits from a common and cohesive learning experience. Thank you to the curriculum committee members who took time to recognize the many hats our teachers wear and the curriculum work that continues throughout the year in planning for each unit of study. Those acknowledgments matter. They remind educators that their time, their care, and their expertise are valued and respected. We understand that families and community members are curious about their individual schools, but sharing data by school risks shifting focus away from our shared progress and toward comparisons that don't reflect the full story. Our goal should always be to support shared learning and collaboration across schools, not competition. As we continue to focus on recruiting and retaining talented educators, it's more important than ever that we maintain a culture of support, trust, and collaboration. Ridgefield's success comes from partnership between the teachers, the leadership, and our community, all working toward the same goal, student growth and well-being. We're grateful for the curriculum work done by Corey Gillette and her entire team, whose work helps ensure shared goals and alignment across all of our schools.
Finally, as Veterans Day is tomorrow, November 11th, we must take a moment to honor the brave men and women who have served our nation. We especially recognize the veterans among our staff, students, and community families. Their sacrifice enables the critical work of education in a free society. It is in that same spirit of dedication and service that we thank everyone here, our teachers, administrators, our board members, and our community partners for working together. We are very proud of the progress we've made, and we're excited about the work ahead. We remain fully committed to this unified vision for our student success. Thank you very much.
Thank you. BTA rep?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Salgado, and along with Lorraine Catalano, we're this year's Council PTA presidents. We want to thank the outgoing board members and congratulate the incoming members. Traditionally, the board hears about all the great events and activities our PTAs organize throughout the year. Tonight, I wanted to share a slightly different message. Our PTAs are not just about events and fundraising for our schools, we're also here to support families. Over the past few months, many of us have seen the financial challenges that some in the RPS and extended Ridgefield community are facing, and our PTAs have been working together to help. If you or someone you know could use a little support, please don't hesitate to reach out to your principal or to your PTA. Privacy will always be respected. There are a few efforts already underway. There's a district-wide RPS food drive for Ruby's Pantries with collection bins at Branchville, Barlow, Scotland, Veterans Park, Eastridge, and Scottsridge. Farmingville and Ridgeberry have each started their own food drives this month. And ERMS' own social studies teacher, Mr. Centeni, is collecting soup cans. And the high school PTA is collecting donations to purchase gift cards for their own high school families. Anyone interested in helping can either donate a gift card directly or be matched anonymously with a family in need. Looking ahead, the PTA Council is planning a winter coat swap to help families as the colder months approach. And at Branchville, students will be coming together to make sandwiches for Dorothy Day Hospitality, supporting those in need in our broader community. You will also see a flyer coming soon from your PTAs with information on local resources on where to go if you or someone you know needs a little extra help. To anyone listening or watching tonight, please know you are not alone. The PTAs are here for you. If you ever need support, please reach out to your principal, your PTA presidents, or to Lorraine and me at ridgefieldptacouncil@gmail.com. Please think of us as a resource and a partner. We're here to support our families and our community in every way we can, with compassion, care, and complete respect for your privacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, PTA. Moving on to discussion and possible action items. First is our Board of Ed goals. We've been putting this off for a few months now, just because of the way our agendas have been structured. We did this in our retreat. Was it end of August? I can't even keep up now. Something like that, right? The reason we brought it back is because this board really worked hard in going through all our goals. So when you see the draft in front of you, the first was the 2023 and the 2025 goals. The draft revisions are next to it, and there are some notes that are, it was August 25th was the last meeting. We have discussed this a lot, so unless somebody has some questions or wants to make some edits to this, I think it would be prudent to have a quick vote. Because I think we were all part of the discussion to construct every goal. Yeah, so, any questions? There's no more, yeah, can you just make a motion? Any questions? All right, John, can you make a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the Board of Education goals for the current year.
They're from 2025 to 2028, and then the new board can look into it, so.
Thank you. So I move that the Board of Education approve the goals for the years 2025 through 2028.
Thank you, John. Do we have a second? Thank you, Sean. Are there any questions, edits? These were all captured by Ms. Cook, so thank you. We did fine-tune some of the words, some of the things, so we did have a long discussion. If there are none, all those in favor of approving the goals, and of course, the new board can come at the retreat and think about if they want to tweak it, that is always possible. So all those in favor of approving the goals as listed, please raise your hand. Unanimous by the members present. Thank you so much. Dr. Silva, 2025-26 class size report. And I just want to let everybody know, I did talk to the policy chairs. We had asked about it, and I wanted to have this presentation. You were okay with that, and then we can have the class size policy after that. It seemed more prudent to put it that way.
All right, so good evening, everyone. In just a moment, we are going to have representatives from the elementary, middle, and high school join us at the front tables to work alongside, who have worked alongside Karen Dewing to present the annual class size report and staff accounting that happens each year just around this time, to give you a sense of what the average class sizes are across every level, and answer any questions that you might have, which actually do connect nicely to the next agenda item, which is class size policy. Karen, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. So all of you have received the full report of the 2025-2026 class size report and staff accounting. That report contains every single class in the district and their actual class size, as well as an accounting of all the staff members and FTE across the district. Tonight, you're going to just receive a summary of the average class sizes at each level, and then I will summarize the FTE at the end. So I'm happy to have my colleagues here from each elementary, middle, and high school level to present with me, and I will have them introduce themselves, starting with the high school.
Hi, Jarrett Pepe, Assistant Principal at the high school.
Hello, Jennifer Fostoli, Principal at Eastridge Middle School.
Good evening, Jill Katkosen, Principal at Scotland Elementary.
Hi, I'm Nancy Karen, Principal at Farmingville Elementary.
Okay, thank you for being here with me. So we're going to actually begin with Ridgefield High School. So I'll turn it over to Jared.
All right, thank you everyone for having us here. I'm excited to talk about our RHS class size report. These numbers definitely tell a story, and I think it really behind those numbers is the interests and passions of our students. So I'm excited to get into a few of these numbers, and at the end you can ask any questions you might have about them. Oops, hit the wrong Wrong button. Okay, so this first slide talks about average class size by department at the high school. And this goes through and shows a summary of our enrollment and our average class sizes over the years. So our enrollment is down a tick from 1435 to 1397 this year. Our class sizes do remain stable across most subject areas. 12 out of our 14 departments are averaging under 20 students per section. And I'm really happy to highlight that all of our semester 1 classes, exclusive of our large performing arts classes, are under the 26 student guideline, so 25 and under. All right. And then our department enrollment as a percentage of our student body. This slide just goes through and shows how many students as a percentage of our total population are enrolled in these courses. And as you see, some of these numbers are above 100%. So for example, if a freshman took a required bio class and they wanted to go into a, let's say, forensics elective, that would have them taking 2 science courses in 1 year. So some of those numbers can pop over 100%. Just a few highlights here. Our overall credit enrollments are up a tick, up to 6.7 per student. And our world language department has some of the highest growth on this screen. So we're happy to highlight their growth. And also thank you to all of you for letting our ASL course go through. So our new ASL course has been successfully running this year. We're also going to keep an eye on our business department. They've had steady growth over the years, and our next year's seniors will have personal finance as a graduation requirement. So we're going to keep an eye on those numbers as we roll into 2027. And this year we separated out visual arts and performing arts. So I just took a peek at the data from last year. If we do look at those two areas, we do have an uptick in student enrollment across the board, and our average class sizes do remain consistent. And then just some highlights. So over 90% of our student first choice requests were met in our scheduling process. We're proud of all of our personalized learning opportunities we offer students, such as counseling seminars, math and science labs, math and reading interventions. And really, we're proud of our individualized attention and equitable access we provide for all students to get academic success at the high school. Our departments English, math, science, social studies, and world language all continue to maintain balanced section sizes between 17.6 and 19.8 students. And we're proud of our diverse course catalog, so over 200 courses. And if you take our tutoring and intervention sections into account, that's over 1,000 sections going on in our school. And we're really proud of those flexible pathways they provide to graduation and supports the very needs of all of our students. So thank you. Any questions for the high school?
Christine?
Thank you so much for this. My first question was about, on the first page, the reading has very low class size. Is that intervention? Is that why it's reading intervention?
So some of our FTs are devoted to reading intervention. We have another reading program. We do limit those class sizes,
Right.
just so we can really have a personal connection with the students in that program.
Right.
One of the reading rooms actually has a cap of 12 students in it.
Okay, that was
So
going to be
those
my next
average-
question.
yeah.
If you had a cap, that's fantastic, because
Yeah,
that's really
and
how
it-
you meet the needs of the kids. And, I've said this before to the public, it's rare that you see intervention at the high school level, and I'm so incredibly, grateful for the work that you do. It's so important, so thank you for that.
Yeah, we started a full-time math interventionist last year, and
Right.
this year we brought on reading. And
reading.
it's going really well.
Which is
so
wonderful.
thank
It
you.
really is. It's meeting kids' needs. And just a general, statement about class size, I think it's fantastic, because you really are able to differentiate and meet the needs of all learners when you have class sizes that are 20 or less. So I'm happy to see that, and thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, Sean?
How do we get more people in engineering and technology education?
Yeah, it's an important field, and we are proud that our students take so many STEM courses. I think it's really student interest driven. So we have our teachers really advertise well on our TV screens. They talk to advisories. We have all of our department chairs talk to counselors before course registration to really highlight if you want this certain field. Here might be a sample course to go into, but it does come down to student choice. So students can definitely select all those electives And
Just to clarify, though, on the data from the engineering, the 24-25 school year versus the 25-26, that was when we started transitioning away from Project Lead the Way. Would that be accurate?
Yes,
And that
correct.
why that number is a little bit lower in the 25, and it seemed to have, I'm sorry, for 24-25, and seemed to have gone up to 16.3 in this current year.
yes, correct.
So we're moving on up.
Yep.
If I could just add, that's part of the reason why we started the Innovation Lab at the middle school, is to make sure that our middle school students are getting that STEM experience before they get to the high school, because you don't know what you're going to like unless you've tried it. And we know kids need to try things. So that's what the idea of the Innovation Lab is, and all those cross-curricular connections and exposure that students are getting early to help expand those pathways.
John?
Thank you for sharing this information. I think about this from the lens of how we see this information at the elementary school. And one of the things we're often told at the elementary school is if the total enrollment drops below a certain level, we would make a decision to have one less section. Is that similar thinking at play in the high school, or how does that work? I see obviously a lot of these numbers are going down in terms of the average class size, which is great, but that also begs the question of, is there a floor by which it goes below that we would have to consider either having one less section of it, or how does that work?
It really varies with trying to make the whole master schedule come together. So we do look at enrollment numbers, and that does play into account when we project our staffing and enrollment. So our 24-25 total FTE did drop for the 25-26 school year to reflect that decrease in students. And we really do our best to get the students their first choice electives and first choice courses. So that, for example, there may be a section that looks small, but that's playing off of other labs and sections to make those schedules work. We do, if we get to a low enough number, we will look to see the impact if we close that course. A lot of our courses might be like a year 3 or 4. So if we have like a Latin or Mandarin, is that a class that you would feel comfortable saying only 9 students selected it, but that's their 3rd or 4th year? So with competitive college wanting to see that sequence of courses, that may take priority over if it's an elective where, we have 9 students in it and they're 9 freshmen. That might be a decision we would talk about. But we're really fortunate with our staffing model that we really try to run all those numbers and accommodations and see if we had to make a reduction or anything like that, who it affects.
It did happen a few years ago, right, with German, was I right? Because
That
their
was not
enrollment-
during my time.
No, it was
Yes.
before,
Yes.
some time ago.
Yeah.
But was it declining enrollment or
It
something?
was. It
And then
was-
we still made sure that the kids who were in year 3 and year 4 were able to finish it out,
Correct.
right? That's
Yes.
because it is important, because you're right, colleges do look for kids to do that. I mean, I know we've had this conversation. I'm hopeful that the fact that we're introducing languages or world languages in elementary, and then we change the trajectory in middle school, how it will look at high school, so it hopefully will add to the way our classes are, world language classes are. So I think that should be, to your point, Corey, when you said how we look at middle school and elementary, all kinds of lines up, so. But I do remember the German part, for some reason.
Yes.
If you look as an example, though, on the slide where he has a percentage of students taking courses, those 2 departments that have the highest amount of students taking it, science and social studies, you don't have separate teachers teaching those electives. They're teachers who are already certified in something like bio or something like, U.S. history. And so what is an enrollment drop doesn't actually necessarily mean that less kids are taking courses within at least those 2 departments, as an example, because there's such a high enrollment rate.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think the data point that may be missing here that we see with the elementary schools oftentimes is the total enrollment. I think that would allow us to understand what the class size means in the context of that subject area. I would also say, though, that you can look at technology education, as Mr. McAvoy brought up, and obviously that's dropped fairly precipitously this year at the very least. So that's where I would be curious. Obviously, I'm familiar with how the elementary school thinks of those decisions, but less familiar with how the high school thinks of it. So thank you for sharing.
Can I just say that that's purposely why at the high school level, we talk about department averages, is because the teachers don't teach one class like an elementary teacher. They have one class of X. They have 4 or 5 classes, depending on what subject matter they're in. And so one class can be higher than the other, which is why we purposely look at the averages, because you could be high in one and low in the other, or lower in the other, and look at overall average caseloads.
Thank you, Karen. Can I have one quick question? I understand why. It's important why we're trying to track visual arts and performing arts in different ways, just to make sure that we're growing in that?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Yep, just to parse them out a little bit
Okay,
better.
thank you.
And see how those numbers are in each of those programs.
Okay,
Yep.
because, this is an important conversation that comes up, and we've had parents who ask these questions, and I think this is a good data point for us to make sure that we are able to track that. So thank you for doing that.
If I can add about the performing arts.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
This is the performing arts, and I'm not sure if this is the only reason that we pulled it apart, but it is really important to us to rebuild our classes around the performing arts.
Okay.
And again, that we've had challenges with our space and what our students are able to do in terms of, I think it's called stagecraft, if I'm saying it correctly. So being a focus area, it is important for us to be able to track it over time, so I do appreciate that. And that we have worked the last 5 years, including adding back in, thanks to all of you, the requirement for visual and performing arts back for the graduation rate, for the graduation requirement. So that, again, separating that out to really will allow us to continue to showcase the efforts of our work there.
And I can elaborate on that. So the reason it's separated is last year during the budget process, we actually eliminated the visual and performing arts department and department chair, and created 2 separate departments, the visual arts department and the performing arts department, each with their own senior teacher. So that's why it's reflected the way it is this year in the report.
And naturally, as Corey just mentioned, when you add something into a graduation requirement,
Yes.
it is intentionally changing the demographic in a class, and that visual arts, when we arrived 6 years ago, we were looking at that data, which continued to decline year after year after year. And we were seeing that department become a department of 1.5, which is very, very unusual for a high school. And so our goal was to build up that department, which we did with the types of courses that we were offering. And then this Board of Education and the boards across the 6 years have approved to bring in some more innovative types of courses that kids could navigate with the different modes of art, and again, the graduation requirement, and then splitting them up so we could really track that data.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Susie. I was just going to say, too, back to Sean's question, just to be sure, because we've changed graduation requirements and we've seen the state also hand us some requirements around business education. Also, we added back in the fine arts, and we added in our 9th grade history course back. When you're looking at a department of 1, which is our tech ed, it's not going to take more than one section for that percentage-wise to look like you've dropped, but the kids had to go somewhere. So I just want to be sure that we're obviously committed to keeping the numbers as high as you can, but the kids, when you start slicing and dicing where their day goes, it has to come out somewhere. And I think that's where we are with tech ed, but we're going to keep an eye on it.
Any other questions?
I had one question. It's Rachel.
Oh, sorry, Rachel, you weren't on the screen. We were all like a little wondering.
Hi, thank you so much for breaking down everything. That was really helpful. I do just have one question. Are all electives on a 3 to 4 year pathway? Is there are they building from year to year? Is there an opportunity for students to take all electives, 3 or 4 years if there's an interest?
So not all of our electives are on 3 or 4 year pathways. Some are singletons, where it's only a 1 credit or half credit course. Other courses do have that 2, 3, or 4 year sequence. So it definitely varies by course.
Okay, so can you give me an example of what's a 1 year course and what are 4 year courses?
So 4 year courses, all of our world languages would fall into that area, where students can take 1 through 4, and even Spanish and French, they can take 1 through 5 and AP. So they can actually take a lot more Spanish and French due to our middle school feeder programs. Some of our singletons would be some of those reading electives, meteorology, astronomy, where those are a singleton course.
Okay, great, thank you. And those reading courses, they do offer several of them, right?
Yeah, so the reading courses are structured where there's 1 for each grade level.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, And there's reading intervention courses as well that are the singletons, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just needed that clarification.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on to middle school.
All right, so looking at our team classes and world language classes, you'll see consistent class sizes across each school. CERM's classes are slightly larger due to their enrollment of 567 students compared to ERMS's 494. Our world language sections show variation based on our language choice for the students, and both of our middle schools still maintain 2 teams per grade level. Our unified arts classes show more variation. CERM's Innovation Lab and health classes are smaller due to physical room capacity constraints. ERM's Innovation Lab and health classes accommodate larger class sizes. Our music enrollment is based on student choice. Ensemble classes are naturally larger. This is a performance-based model where students perform together as a full ensemble. And those same students also have small group instruction every 6 days through our pull-out lessons model. Music elements serve students not enrolled in performance ensembles. Overall, our unified arts class sizes are determined by room capacity, program model, and most importantly, student interest and choice. Our classes are fully aligned with enrollment. Our 2 schools serve different populations, again with CERMS at 567 and ERMS at 494. Staffing and resources are allocated proportionally to each building. There are 2 teams per grade level. This structure provides consistency and supports teacher collaboration to ensure we meet the needs of all of our students. Our total enrollment is higher at CERMS. This accounts for the slightly larger class sizes that we see at Scotts Ridge across multiple subject areas. We do have student voice and choice represented in choosing their language or the music that our students take, but also beyond that, we offer opportunities for student input and personalized learning experiences during our advisory activity blocks. Both middle schools are providing quality instruction with appropriate class sizes. The difference you see primarily reflects enrollment and then student choice. I can now take questions.
Thank you. Christine?
Thank you for this. I have a couple of questions. The first one is just, generally speaking, with the total enrollment being higher at CERMS than at ERMS, the class sizes pushing up to, 24 in grade 6, in grade 7 for English. I just have some concerns about that, just based on, I know it's within guidelines, but what we were just talking about in terms of class sizes and meeting the needs of kids and just the nature of middle schoolers in general. It's a drastic difference to teach 24 sixth graders versus 20 sixth graders, especially in a class like English. So I don't know if there's a question there more than I just wanted to voice that for the community and for, the superintendent as well. The actual physical sizes of the classrooms are smaller at CERMS, is that correct as well?
That is correct. So the physical sizes of the classrooms are smaller, which is what Ms. Fastoli is alluding to in terms of being able to provide more access in these special areas. The first point, obviously, we've acknowledged around the class size, and
Yeah.
we've also spoken to utilizing tutors to push into those classes that might be larger, and looking at the interventionists and adding support when needed. And I think that's a realistic look ahead around budget when we have these pocket years where the classes are going to be at 24 potentially, or 25.
Yeah, and science and social studies as well.
And it's I was going to say it's similar at the elementary school. Our classes can go up as high as that as well.
Right. I just know that middle school can be, we've heard at this table too that some middle schoolers struggle in general, and I'd love to hear the teachers' perspective at CERMS. How are they feeling about, approaching this class size maximum? And, I appreciate the idea of pushing someone in to help. But I wonder if that, we've brought this up at the table, and this is probably not the time, but generally speaking, looking at CERMS and ERMS, what we can do to, a bigger decision.
Bigger decision. You're going back to the old model. That's your
Bigger decision. I mean, ERMS is a bigger, place, and maybe we need to think about the feeders of the elementary schools, perhaps not the 3 to 3, but the 3.5 to.
Or we
4?
could have a policy that
Okay.
could address certain like that. I'm sorry, did I just touch upon something? Is that?
No, I'm just kidding.
Can I just add one thing? Is that I know where you're going.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in the community wonder that as well.
Yes.
What I will say, though, is something that we actually discussed in the curriculum committee, which is why I think it's so important to be able to marry not a competition between one school versus the other in terms of their academic growth and performance, but rather a measurement of year to year in that school, intra-year performance based on the information that we have and then is public to the entire community around school by school. So I think class size and school by school academic growth and performance are two sides of the same coin. And I would want us specifically to address that before we have a discussion about redistricting or changing the enrollment model in some way of the feeder schools. I think what I've learned from the cell phone discussion is that we want to be very deliberate and we need data. And so I am very much in favor to make sure we have that data, especially in the context of discussions of class size.
And I would just like to also highlight, I mentioned that we have a team model at the middle school, and when we're looking at meeting the needs of all of our students, yes, there are the larger class sizes at Scottsridge and smaller at Eastridge, but how our middle schools are structured, having those team teachers work together, really get to know the students, we have our team meetings, we have, our specialists worked with our team, that's how we attempt to meet the needs of all of our individual students. And when class sizes go higher, we want to make sure that we preserve that team model.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the team model is so important, and it's wonderful for kids. And I just want to draw, I wanted to draw attention for the community that we're watching, and that we may need to have that conversation. The only other question I had was around advisory activity days. I was just curious, and you may have shared this, and I apologize if you have, how often are they occurring and when in the schedule?
Sure. So both CERMS and ERMS, we're on a little different schedule with our advisories, but roughly we have a block of time that usually range from 4 to 6 activity blocks, so 4 to 6 weeks. And the schedule is a half an hour once a week. So if we're in an activity block, section, it would be 4 to 6 weeks, and a half an hour once a week. We would run an activity block where students get to choose different activities, whether that's ping pong, slime making, bracelet making, just a bunch of stuff that kids
That's
want.
great.
Yeah, they get to choose. It's fun.
That's great. Thank you.
Welcome.
I appreciate it.
Sorry, I just wanted to quickly say, John, I'm just trying to understand, and I did miss the curriculum meeting, sorry, I've had stuff. When you say we need to look at data, you're talking about the impact of a bigger class size that may have on learning, right? And that might guide our decisions, I understand.
There may be no impact.
Yes.
And if that's the case, then maybe that's a
okay, that is
compelling
not a
reason why we
conversation. I
shouldn't
see.
redistrict.
I just
think
wanted
to even explore redistricting without understanding the impact of class size on academic performance and making sure that the community understands that discussion, I think my worry is that would be premature.
Okay, I needed to understand. Yeah, I kind of got where you were going with that, why we were talking, because it is possible that, look, I really appreciate the team model. I have heard multiple times, and I know it's amazing for the way, and we preserved this for so many years. I mean, this is important for middle school kids, but I see where you're coming from and seeing, does it really make an impact if you have 25 kids, or is it 12 kids? Because if we are doing everything correct, as we definitely believe in that, if we're doing the intervention, we're doing MTS, as we're talking about this, yes, it's one little snapshot. I do appreciate, testing doesn't talk about the entire child. I do understand that, and we're not putting a child in a box. So I think I want to recognize that too. But it could be one data point, not the exact, complete data point of a child, because that is something I want to highlight too, because
And
children test differently.
Right.
Children grow differently.
Right.
And so, it is an N01. My child was on the younger side. A way a child tests in the beginning of sixth grade may be different from the end of sixth grade. So I think that's one data point. So I do think that's something we do have to remember, because all children do test differently. And depending how their adolescence is tough. We talk about mental health, putting them through all these things. So I understand. I'm just trying to also say, I guess I'm contradicting myself, but I am understanding where I'm coming from that. Yes, Alina.
So what I hear you saying is you don't think just the academic picture and the grade is the whole picture.
Yes, we should
Correct.
learn more about the child. Are we seeing
agree
more
with-
high?
I think
Are we
that's
seeing?
a very valid point.
Are we seeing more mental health issues in a bigger class size? Are we not? I mean, I'm not saying they're
Because
not
a
met.
child could work very hard to make the grade, and it might be tougher for them to make the grade if he's competing with more kids to get the teacher's
Does it
attention.
impact a child?
He, she, but still make the grade. So I think we do need to be cognizant of that fact. So I
Yes,
agree.
of course.
Yeah, what I am most interested in is having some measure of performance. I don't think we should, if there's public information available, perhaps we should discuss it. If there is information that's not publicly available, perhaps we should publicize it. But for me, I'm unsure whether I would want to address these differences until I know that these differences have a meaningful impact on the educational experience of those kids.
Well, right, because you're talking 4 kids. You're not talking like 10 children.
Right.
Exactly.
So I think I understand what you're saying. You just
And
need to
in
look at
response
all
to that, I appreciate that, Mr. Paradiso. And if you look, this can go either way.
Yes.
So French, for example, in grade 8, at CERMS, you have 16 kids. At ERMS, you have 21, right? So there you have it flipped. Now, one could argue 25 is at a threshold, but we have that in some of our elementary schools. We have classes here, it includes all kids. Some of the students may be out for a portion of that time in one of the schools and not completely in the classroom for all of the time. It's all very much student dependent. And I think one of the most important pieces that I believe that you said, Mr. Paradiso, is looking at the full experience. And one of the big pieces of work that strategic planning has done over time when looking at the student data, because this isn't new, right? And Jen, you just happened to come at a good time when we were talking about class sizes. But this isn't new, but what we've looked at is when does it change the child's experience in that
Yes.
school? And when it does, what do we need to support that school? Especially if it's going to be a moment in time. It might be this year for that 6th grade group, they might transition that way, right, for the
Yeah.
next 3 years. And then all of a sudden we have a new balance that changes. Go ahead, Corey.
To add on to that, this board did support the additional FTE for math at CERMS because we could not have students at CERMS being placed any differently in math because of the school that they were in. And we needed that FTE to do so.
Thank you for that
So
reminder.
that is what we've continued to work under. In terms of the equity across the schools is the programming and experiences. You've also, as part of last year's budget, you also supported a literacy para who is being highly utilized at CERMS right now. There is not one at ERMS, and there was a need at CERMS because of additional students. So you have continued to support that, and as we're seeing any other areas that need that support, we are getting it, even during the school year if it's needed.
Thank you. I think these are good discussions, and we will continue on these. Yes, White?
Just to the point about kind of looking at academic performance and then looking at kind of student experience more holistically, teacher experience, I wonder whether there's a way to capture more of the qualitative feedback, whether it's from talking to students, talking to teachers. I mean, from a common sense perspective, you'd think that a 6th grade French class with 25 students in a smaller room is going to have a very different experience than one with 18 students, right? And it's their first middle school experience with foreign language. It's a very important academic experience and obviously so anyway, I just think that I appreciate your comments, Ms. Gillette. I think if we could, if you could come to us proactively when you're seeing a potential need to balance resources, we can think about that. And then I think in addition to what Mr. Paradiso is asking for, which we absolutely need, if we can think about other ways to get at a full evaluation of what this looks like. And maybe in certain subjects it's more acute than in others, or it's more important to have balance and equity in certain subject matters than in others. But I would think from a parent's perspective of a rising sixth grader going into a 150 square foot room versus a 400 square foot room, or maybe it's not that disparate, but it makes a huge difference, 25 students to 18 students. So I think we need to really keep a close eye.
Yeah. And it impacts their mental health, right? We talk about this constantly, because when you are a sixth grader and if you're struggling and just to your point, you want to have this equitable experience for them. So I think
And to
that's-
Ms. Moore's point on the teaching side too.
Yes,
I mean,
it doesn't make an
what the
impact. That's a fair
demand is
point.
on a teacher.
100%.
In these disparate circumstances, I think it's a different job,
I mean,
frankly.
I think there are different metrics or data points we can talk about, and I think it just might help this board to hear the different ways we can gather this, because it is important for these kids and for parents, and just to make sure that we are meeting the needs. I do appreciate, Ms. Gillette, that you do come to us, and I really appreciate that you will always come to us and you tell us what is needed, and so that's true. But I think going back to what we've always highlighted, we're also trying to be forward-facing and being transparent with the community and making sure that we're having these discussions at the table. So I think the more information we can share always helps.
Go ahead, Dr. Hanaway.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yes, Dr. Hamel, let Christine go,
Okay,
and then.
thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for your comments too. I agree 100%. I do see state testing as one data point, one important data point, so I won't minimize that at all. But I would argue that that anecdotal information from teachers is much more powerful. And I say that, because they see the kids day to day, and state testing is a snapshot on one day. In terms of classroom management, which is I think what Mr. Lippman was even getting at, 24 sixth graders or 20, even 25 sixth graders in a class versus 18 is much different. So, and then when classroom management is difficult, then instruction is difficult. So it all. And I'm not saying that anyone is having a difficult time with classroom management, but just generally speaking, 24 kids for middle school, 25 kids for middle school can be challenging. Middle schoolers can be challenging classroom management wise. But, so I would love to hear from teachers, anecdotal stuff. I really want to hear how they're feeling, if they feel that they have what they need. If there's a way for us to get that, I would really be interested to see it, and thank you.
Dr. Hanaway.
Two unrelated points, but just as a reminder, the district did query families last year about their interests, and it was non-existent, I think, in terms of transitioning over to Eastridge instead of CERMS, right?
In offering, right, and being very clear about what the class size is, the difference in the class sizes. Yeah,
right.
and I also just want to make a note when we heard from Mr. Zuba 2 weeks ago, and when he spoke about the building, both at Eastridge and Scottsridge, and what actually is now in Eastridge, right? The students and teachers were in smaller closets as classrooms as opposed to appropriate rooms. So I don't want Eastridge to be presented as a place where there's a lot more space. When they gained the space, they transitioned to more appropriate learning environments for their students, and that's what they gained. We don't want to lose that. And just to clarify, the difference in one classroom to the other, and Dr. Hanaway will remember this because we measured it, and certainly Joe, who's on the line as well. It's not that significant, but I think it was probably about 5 feet.
I could tell you how many tiles it was.
That's right. That's right. We can.
We counted tiles.
But nonetheless, but it's still a difference, and sometimes it's just the type of classroom, right? So some of the family consumer science classrooms are much smaller at one because they may have an extra stove, right, and that type of thing.
The other point I just want to make sure, Jen, in representative of the English and math average core class sizes here, this also represents averages that would include co-taught classes where there's 2 teachers in the same room, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So for some of these classes,
Correct.
that could be on the higher end, which can happen in a co-taught class. There's 2 certified teachers teaching the class.
Okay.
And
That's a
for
really
the
important point. I
room
actually forgot about
size,
that.
you're seeing the impact with, just so that you're seeing the impact of class size when you're specifically looking at innovations lab and our health classes. So when we're talking about the size of the classroom, that's where you're going to see the impact. You're not necessarily seeing it in the team classes.
And just to be clear for the public, we have co-taught right now at the middle school level. Can you go to the other slide? In English and math, in science and social studies, 4 classes that require it due to a variety of factors. There are classes that also have paraeducator support.
Okay.
And you have co-taught classes at both Scottsridge and Eastridge?
Yes.
Okay. And do you still maintain the class size guidelines regardless of whether you have co-taught classes?
Absolutely.
Because the nature of,
Yes.
you know, sometimes the needs of those students are,
Yeah, that's
can be
it's
more.
that's,
okay, I'm
that would
just
stand
making that point
regardless.
that you don't go up higher because you have 2 teachers in the room, because the nature of the needs of the students.
No, it's because we have
are-
1 co-taught section per team.
Okay.
And so if you need co-taught and you're on that team, it's typically 1 class option.
Okay.
We
In
try not to
fact,
cross team as
Okay.
much as we can.
Okay,
It may
thank
be
you.
even the opposite, right? We may
Yeah,
keep, so
that's-
this
was
is the
my point.
average, right? So
Yeah.
that's what we're
Right.
going with. But
Okay.
you may see that those are even smaller. But it is important to note that you do have 2 certified teachers, and some of them paraeducators. Right now, we're looking for additional support. We're in the process of hiring additional reading support for SERMs, off budget, right? And not in a permanent way, but perhaps something that we're gonna bring to you across next budget.
I had one question. Not to change the subject, but I was looking at the music program at CERMS, and I noticed in orchestra there was a dramatic drop from 6th grade to 8th grade. Can somebody talk to that? Why there's those drops in enrollment, and where did those kids go for music?
Okay, I got it. I can do that one. Unless you want
You.
The music choice that students have, as you know, is that they get to choose. Oops, I don't know where Rachel went. Oh, okay.
She's there. She's
Oh,
behind
hey.
the screen.
Okay.
I'm looking, I'm sorry, I'm looking
you
at
can-
the slides at the same time, sorry.
Each year, students can change their choice. So sometimes students choose in middle school, after a year of orchestra, that they would rather do chorus, or maybe they choose that they would like to take the music elements class instead of continuing on with an individual instrument. So it's really up to kids, and you can see that there is variation across the schools and across the grade levels.
But if I add
Right.
those up, do we have the same amount of kids in music each grade level, even though they're dispersed into different courses? It still looks like we've lost kids.
Every kid takes music. So across those 4, across band, orchestra, chorus, and music elements, that should be all of the 6th grader. As you look across each grade, that's all of the students.
And the difference also is Innovation Lab is not accessible. For your 6th graders, you have not applicable for Innovation
Right.
Lab. So
Yeah.
you're going to potentially have more in 6th grade than you would in the other grades. And if you actually look at grade 8, it's a lower class size than, when you add up all the numbers, than grade 6. So that could potentially be it as well, in addition to everything
Okay,
that Tori said.
okay, yeah, I see it now, thank you.
Of course.
And it's also average class size, so we might, I don't know specifically about SERMs, but there might be 2 sections of a particular, like music elements or chorus.
Okay.
Got it, thank you.
Is the ability to change something new? That the kids don't have to switch, like if you start with chorus in 6th grade, my understanding was you have to stay with chorus through 8th.
You can change.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Be flexible.
It is hard to go into, I don't think you can go into band if you've never taken
Yeah.
an instrument
always
before,
thought
but you can go into chorus, and you can go into music elements.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank
from a musical instrument.
Yes. Okay. Moving on to elementary.
Okay, we're going to take a look at elementary. This slide is presented a little bit different than the middle and high school. So this slide represents a breakdown of the number of students, then the number of sections, and then the average number of students in each class, which is that blue number. by school and by grade level. This year, the Ridgefield Elementary Schools have 97 sections in grades K through 5. Our schools are comprised of 1,802 students, and the average class size K-5 is 18.59 students. Last year, for reference, we had 100 sections K-5, and we had 1,875 students. So we're down 73 students, just for reference, from last year.
All right. And so this is just some highlights that we wanted to share with you. So as Jill mentioned, we have 97 total sections of our elementary classes, all of which are within the Board of Ed class size guidelines, which we're happy about. You probably know this, but just as a refresher for anybody who needs it, Barlow Mountain, Ridgebury, and Scotland feed to Scotts Ridge Middle School, and Branchville, Farmingville, and Veterans Park, students transition to Eastridge Middle School. And then in the fourth bullet, you'll see the class size guidelines set forth by the Board of Ed, so just as a reminder for everybody who wants to see them. Do you have any questions for us?
Christine?
Thank you for this. I guess my question would be, at a class like a third grade class at Scotland, where you have, you've reached the class maximum there, is there para support in those classrooms?
So we have paraeducator support if we have a student that has an IEP that says that they need paraeducator support, but we don't have class paras. We do not. So we're still within our class size guidelines. So we do not have just a paraeducator within the classroom. Only if we have a child that has an IEP that says that they need paraeducator support.
If there was extra support, if it was a gen ed class, it's just one teacher in the 25. Okay.
Right.
And then looking to Veterans Park, I mean, second grade, very small. You know, private school, small.
But that's because they had 26, so they had to split it.
Right.
Mike,
27.
what I know you mentioned this, Dr. De Silva, but what if they reach
It's
beyond
just a
the class
completely
size in the
different
middle of the
experience.
year, right?
So if the 25 was to break at any point after the school year started, then we would likely put in a para to support that class if they needed it. And it,
Thank you. In the class size report, under the paraeducator section, there is a class size para where you can look at the 6 years history of when we've had to do that.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so those are the cases that Dr. De Silva is referring to.
Okay,
That after we start the school year and we go above our maximums, we've typically put in a para.
Okay. Thank you.
You know, there's sort of an effect that's maybe not really intuitive unless you look at these numbers the way you've presented them. Thank you for sharing them this way. This is really helpful. But a school that has a slightly lower total enrollment, in all likelihood, has higher class sizes. So it's an interesting argument about redistricting, right? Where you say, if it was more equitable, potentially our class sizes would be more even. And those schools that may be slightly more under-enrolled because of the demographics of the town would likely, and again, I'm not sure if it's meaningful, would achieve a smaller class size. So something to consider. I think, you know, sometimes we talk about class sizes as very much kind of like just a number, but I think the context of the facility, the context of the performance, it's a real holistic conversation that we shouldn't lose sight of.
Yeah, it's so true. Class size does not equate to school enrollment.
Right.
That's true.
For sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think kind of. Because
Depends
if
on
you
what
look at
grade
VP, that theory doesn't apply. They're the smallest school and almost uniformly has very, very low class size. It just, you know, I think it's.
I would encourage you to look at the full class size report that Karen produces, because when you start looking across time, you'll see that across each of our schools, there's just been those years, right? If you now break to 51, let's say at Scotland, you've taken those class sizes of 25, right? And now you've made them, Tori just said how good I was at math this morning.
13,
You're right,
13.
yeah, 13.
13 and 13.
Correct, you're 13 now, and all it is one student. to break that, and that's the challenge with class size, in class size breaks.
So
Is
it's-
because anyone would argue at a 5th grade level, students are far more independent, that 13, right, is potentially too low for social relationships for 5th graders, right? Never mind the academic side. And I think what we all know is that, and it goes back to some of the data we talked about at curriculum committee, a class isn't a class isn't a class. The composition of that class is unique. And you can have students who are in for portions of their day that might be leaving right after morning meeting. You could have students that are in that classroom the entire day. You could have that class size of 25 that has students who have their own challenges across the curriculum, right? Whatever that is, or social experience. And there's so many different variables. So I would caution us on any type of like, this must be perfect, because we've all gone to the birthday party with 13 or 14 kids and we thought there were 100. And then we've gone to the birthday party with 100 and we're like, this is easy, right? So it just depends. And I think the masterpiece that comes into play is our teachers, their experience, the support that they receive, our principals and how they're navigating those schedules. So if you have classes of 25 and you have an additional substitute or coach or guest teacher, how can they go in and support that classroom teacher during the DI block or other moments in their day? So I think there's so many variables that we have class size guidelines for a reason. We want to be sure that we're holding ourselves to some standard, right? And we have to understand the complexity within that class size.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you so much. Okay.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
So this is a good segue into the staff accounting to talk
Yes.
about a little bit about those class sizes at the elementary level. So this is just a summary, what you see at budget for what we projected for 25-26 for FTE across all of our bargaining units and our positions. So we projected 776 and 3.49 positions. We're actually staffed right now at 771.979. And you'll see the biggest driver are the teachers. So we are currently down under budget for elementary classroom teachers. We were budgeted for 101. We're staffed at 97. So we currently have 6 classes across 3 grade levels at max. So when we talk about we're under by 4 FTE, if we had 5 additional kids across 3 grade levels, so 1 kid at Branchville and 1 kid in grade 3 at Scotland and 2 kids at grade 2 at Scotland, we would be over budget by 2. So that swing of 6 classes is based upon 5 kids in 3 grade levels. So I just want to keep that in perspective when I say
6
that
FTE. I mean,
6
think about
FTE
that.
swing
Yeah.
is why I said it's not by school enrollment, it's by what the grade level is and the class size there. Because 1 kid at Branchville would have changed an FTE, and then just 4 kids at Scotland would have changed FTE. So that just puts that an example of what that means. So we're down 4 at the elementary level, we're down at the middle school level by 0.15, and we're down at the high school by 0.4, and we're over in special ed by 0.1. So that's where we get the 4.45 FTE under. Fraction of a para for dismissal time. So we're under budget by 4.37. And then just for comparison of actuals from last year to this year, we're over by 3.63. Not over, but just difference of 3.63. Are there questions about the staff
Yes.
accounting?
John has a question.
All right, so just looking at these numbers, I just want to make sure I understand. So what we're saying is our actual 24-25 to 25-26 grew by 0.35, but we budgeted for 4.45 more. So does that mean, I guess I'm trying to understand exactly what that means. Does that mean if the 4.4 ultimately seems to be primarily driven by elementary school class size requirements, does that mean we absorbed 4.1 of that for other roles that were hired from the previous year? You know, I guess I'm just trying to understand. We added, in our budget, we added 4.45.
No, we didn't add 4.45. We're running under what we budgeted for by 4.45.
But the actual from 24 to 25 went up by 0.35.
Right, which means that we were budgeted by more than 7 FTE
Got it.
from budget to budget.
So that we're adding more teachers. That is taking up some of the loss of sections in other areas. Is that a correct statement?
Say that again, we're adding more teachers?
We're not down in teachers. Actual FTE is
Karen.
up 0.35.
Karen,
Yes?
would you like to answer? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand the question.
Yes.
We're under 4.45 teachers. We're under 4.45 teachers from what we projected that we would need and that we budgeted for. So what we budgeted for was more than last year's FTE, but we're not utilizing all of what we thought we would need by our projections.
So we're still net up.
Correct. We're still net up,
Okay.
but less than what we thought.
And that net up ultimately is not driven by elementary school class size requirements, because we've absorbed, I forget exactly how many you said there, maybe
Correct,
three
'cause-
teachers. It's, so I have to think then, though, if we had however many FTEs we budgeted for, 4.59, that includes however many elementary school teachers that we don't need, but then that also includes more teachers in other areas other than the elementary school. Is that correct?
Right, so as you heard, last year, we had 100 elementary classroom teachers. We budgeted for 101. We're staffed at 97.
Right. But other than elementary school teachers, then it went up, is what I'm saying. Other sections other than elementary school teachers must have gone up. Then how
Because
did
of
we get
because of
0.35?
that staff accounting line that you're looking at here.
Right.
Yes, so what you're gonna see, if you look at our finance report, right, you're gonna see certified teachers, you're gonna see why there's a balance there. But to answer your question, so that, because if what you're asking is the net between 97 and 101
Right.
is 4, right? And we're 4.45, so somewhere
Yes.
within the other FTEs, we either went up or down to have that 4.45.
Right, so we did add new positions last year. So for example, we added a middle school special ed supervisor. So we did have other positions that we added to the budget outside of elementary classroom positions.
Because this is collective, it's not
Right.
just the
Yeah, I'm
elementary,
just
yes.
thinking about it in terms of the bands. So we went down in our FTE teachers, certified teachers at the elementary school, but we went up at the other levels. Is that a correct statement?
No. Special ed, yes. Middle school and high school, no.
Got it. All
Pretty
right.
flat.
So we were down on elementary school teachers, but we're up on special education teachers.
Generally, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
If you'd like a full accounting of that, I mean, it's in the
Right,
report, but I can,
Not different than what was proposed in the budget, not post-budget,
correct.
nothing post-budget. The
Nothing
only-
that wasn't presented to the
Correct,
board and
yeah.
approved.
Yeah, so really though, so I understand your question, John, because when you're looking at the accounting here, and you're saying, but Susie, you're only saying 4, why is this number 4.45? Because there's bits and pieces, so we may have needed, when we budget, let's just take middle school art. We might say we need a 1.0, but we don't actually know what we need until kids have arrived. So we may end up with a 1.1, that little 0.1, right? And then somewhere else it might be a 0.2 in music and a point this and point that. So you're right. Our budget is our budget. We don't add staff beyond that budget other than accounting for whatever that enrollment is when kids actually enroll, right? So if all of a sudden we need a 1.1 because we have another section, that's within that 4.45, which is why you're seeing that.
Right, so we were down 4 classroom teachers at the elementary level. Remember, we added a world language teacher. We added an AIG teacher. So there are other positions outside of the classroom based upon class size that impact those numbers as well.
That's the answer. Thank you.
That
Thank you
is
very much.
Thank you. Jill, I know you wanted to say something. Oh, okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, policies first read, class size.
All right, we've postponed this, I think, a couple of times because we've had a lot of public comment at the last few meetings that we've had. This is a new policy for the district. We don't currently have a class size policy. I think it's important to note that we are the only school district in our DIRG that does not currently have a class size policy. All the other schools have various forms of this with various ways in which those class sizes are stated and various different roles for each of those boards of education. So, you know, we certainly looked at those other districts as a starting point. We also received feedback and guidance from our law firm, Shipman and Goodwin. And we also obviously received quite a bit of feedback from the administration. So this policy does a few things. The first thing that it does is it memorializes in our policy book what the current class size guidelines are. I know the administration has done a great job in publicizing that and putting it on the website, but I'm very happy for this board to consider formally memorializing that in our policy book. The other thing that this does is it clearly in our policy delegates to the superintendent the authority to make operational decisions, which Dr. De Silva.
Freudian slip.
That might be a new nickname. I'm gonna patent that. You know, I think she stressed, and rightfully so, that she needed the flexibility, depending on a variety of different reasons, why she might need to make exemptions to these guidelines. One of the things we got in feedback from the board when we last discussed this was that we felt it was important to delineate what those factors are, not limited to. So we tried to do that here, again in conjunction with Dr. De Silva. And then, you know, we stated pretty clearly that the Board of Education retains the ultimate authority to set and amend these class size guidelines. We would obviously do that in conjunction with Dr. De Silva and in conjunction with the reality of our facilities, which ultimately is probably the biggest determinant of what these class sizes could be. And then we formalized already what's happening, which is the superintendent and her team will report to the board at least once in the first academic trimester, and then once again prior to the end of the school year about class size, which I think is important. I think these conversations are always extremely informative, and I'm happy to see that formalized here as well. And then there's a final paragraph that just really clarifying that the delegation of authority is not construed to prohibit the board from taking action. So if for some reason the board would like to take this up, or a board in the future would like to take this up, hopefully this policy establishes some of the process around how that would work. So any questions from the board?
Thank you for this, John. I just want to quickly mention that the guidelines in the policy, I think kindergarten, first grade are 21. And so that might just be an edit.
No, I thought we discussed it.
No?
No, I thought we discussed it.
Well, Karen, off the top of your head, class size, grade 1 is
21.
21, so this
is
is in here,
22.
so we'll fix that.
Thank you for that.
Oh, I didn't, yeah, I mean,
catch.
we weren't,
Did we not discuss it?
Wait.
Okay, maybe not.
No.
Maybe I'm having a brain.
So kindergarten's 20, sorry.
the current guidelines, I'm saying.
Current
If
class
we-
size guidelines.
Right. Right.
Thank you for.
I just wanted to.
Yeah,
make
no,
a
thank
catch.
you for
And if
bringing
we-
that up.
you know-
We've talked about this
I know.
for a long time. I don't know how we missed that. So.
I know. That's why I was looking at it today.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
All right, so we'll amend that
Yeah. Sorry,
say
for
that
purposes
again.
of it. So kindergarten and first grade
Are both.
are both 21,
21.
is what
Yeah.
we're saying,
Okay.
right, Karen?
Yes.
Okay.
And then second grade is 24?
Yes.
Yes.
The rest is accurate. Yeah, everything
And
else is
25,
correct.
Okay, yeah, that I remembered. Okay.
On the second page.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is correct on the second page. It was just on the first page, yeah. Good catch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I wanted to
Thanks
point
for-
out. So thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Sean?
Dr. Silva, this changes nothing from what previous guidelines were for you?
Thank you. No, operationally, it's exactly the same. I think what's really powerful is the sheet that Karen provided us in advance of when we were supposed to meet last, just to show across time. I think we included from 2015 on how many times we were at class max and when we were actually above. And you'll notice very rarely. And in terms of that authority that the superintendent has had in the 6 years that I've used that authority, it's only been twice, and that's been for the same student, same reason, same school, excuse me, same student need, and same reason. So we really try to manage equity across our schools, and only for good reason, justifiable, do we really veer off the class size guidelines. And as Mr. Paradiso mentioned, the report, which you got tonight, is the first report, and then typically in the spring, we'll give you the second one.
Any other questions?
All right, hearing no questions, we'll bring this for a second read
Thank
next
you.
meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for all your work on it. I've been watching those, so I know this was extensive discussions, a lot of discussions, and I'm glad we're memorializing this because I think it is also another way when parents join our community, you can kind of guide them that the Board of Education does have a policy that does outline this. So not that it wasn't shared at the website, but I think this is just another way of the board taking ownership. So thank you for all your work. All right, moving on to the RHS graduation date. I know a lot of people or parents are waiting, especially senior parents.
All right, Dr. Greenwood.
How's everyone doing?
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. So I'm here to propose a graduation date of Wednesday, June 17th. And I just want to take 1 second and a little explanation, if it's all right for the community. Over the past handful of years, we've historically been using a Friday night for graduation, and that's to allow for our PTSA to do the post-grad party, because it's harder, can be harder for them to have volunteers when it's midweek, because you ask parents to stay up all night long, it's hard to go to work the next day. If you take a look at our school calendar this year, we have a graduation, last day of school, as on a Monday currently right now, a Tuesday currently right now, that's June 16th. We can't use the 12th because we have to go to school 180 school days before we have graduation by state law, which would bring us to the 19th, which is Juneteenth, which brings us to the 26th. And everybody was like, that's way too far out. I did reach out to, particularly through my PTSA. So I did propose the date to them just to check and make sure, and everybody felt really comfortable with this date of the 17th. So just want to put it out there for everybody to hear that we did think long and hard about the date, and we feel comfortable with this date that gives us a little bit of buffer and then gets us far enough ahead of the 3-day weekend so folks can enjoy, but we're obviously not going to push all the way out to the following Friday. So I would like to propose the 17th, and that's the memo that's in your packet.
Thank you, Dr. Greenwood.
Thank you.
For all parents who, like me, do volunteer for the post-grad, that means we will have to take 18, but that's okay. It's a nice long weekend. Thank you so much.
Figure it out, we always do.
Do we have a motion? No, right? Any questions? No, are there any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Sonia.
What if it snows? If you have to be in school for a certain amount of time? I'm just curious, like.
Yep, we can do graduation. We can do graduation before the school year officially ends. We can hold a ceremony. We just can't do it before the 180th school day.
Oh, the school day. So even if it snows and you're not in school, it's the.
It just has to be past that date, exactly. So we would go ahead, and we feel comfortable with the 17th.
Okay. I
Yep.
was just curious about the snow.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
This is not a motion, right?
Let me just make sure.
I don't see it.
No, you just have to establish it. You don't need to approve it.
Okay, we've established it, okay. We've approved Wednesday, June 17th, yep.
That it approves.
We approve, but it does says recommendation, should we just? Yeah, let's make a motion.
I move that the Board of Education accept the recommendation from Dr. Greenwood and schedule the high school graduation for Tuesday, June 16th.
No,
No.
Wednesday, June 17th.
Wednesday, June 17th. Sorry, I'm looking at this calendar. All right, so I move that the Board of Education accept Dr. Greenwood's recommendation and hold the high school graduation for Wednesday, June 17th.
Thank you, John. Do we have a second? Christine, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. For all the senior parents, mark your calendars. All right, policy second read. We can quickly do we have a motion?
Yes, I move that the Board of Education rescind policy 5145.71 surrogate parent program.
Thank you, John. Do we have a second? Selena, thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of rescinding the policy, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
I move that the Board of Education rescind policy 5131.3 student driving/parking.
Thank you. John, do we have a second? Christine, any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of rescinding the policy, please raise your hand. Unanimous of the members present here.
I move that the Board of Education rescind policy 5131 conduct and discipline student responsibilities.
Thank you, John. Do we have a second? Christine, any questions on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of rescinding policy 5131, please raise your hand. Unanimous of the members present.
I move that the Board of Education rescind policy 5131.21 threats or acts of violence.
Thank you, John. Second? Sean, any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of rescinding policy 5131.21, please raise your hand. Policy rescinded. Thank you so much. The AIG elementary update, Dr. De Silva.
All right, I'm going to just turn this briefly over to Ms. Gillette. I know that you all received a memo from her and had the opportunity to read it. And I think that Ms. Gillette is really prepared to answer any questions that you may have on this very early transition to the new AIG program.
Yeah, happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions? What?
I mean, I guess we keep using this phrase new AIG program. What we have is one full-time employee across 6 buildings, right? When you look at this memo and the remit that this individual has, it is massive, right? It says that they're spending 1 day in each building on a rotating schedule, dividing their time between direct student instruction. Presumably, I'll ask about the numbers in a minute, but parent meetings, instructional leadership team support, professional learning, collaborative teacher support. That's a lot. I don't know whether we have more data on what the student population is for AIG. I think we understand that as our responsibility is actually identifying who needs these services. So maybe first you can speak to what the benchmark is we're looking at, how many students are we talking about, but I'm a little bit troubled about underinvestment and that we're telling the community that we have a program when we have one person for the entire elementary population.
Sure. Okay, so to begin with, right now we have about 8 students across the 6 elementary schools who are identified as gifted. So she is facilitating instruction for those 8 students. So we also talked about how this position was going to support teachers, so teachers in their classrooms every day, teaching students who are gifted, and then support for teachers with enrichment. So it is, you're right, that she is wearing many hats at this point, and it's been, what are we on, day 50, I think, of school? I think so. What she's doing, we did not have before. So I recognize that while she is wearing many hats, we didn't have programming or a person or anybody overseeing, supporting, leading this work before. Now, that's not to say that we're not going to ask in the future for more, but at this point, with her just starting this position, in a way that I believe is highly successful so far, I do have to say that this board did ask me about how this would, this position, and again, maybe more if we need more in the future, but how this position would support classroom teachers. And already at this point in the year, she's been able to support 60 different students across the district who are getting pull out for enrichment, in addition to the students that she's working with in AIG. So remember, a whole school day, there's a lot of time in a school day. So when I'm thinking about 8 students across 6 schools, she is doing a lot, but she does have the time to do all those things that we really did not have before.
So
and when we're asking our teachers to look across their classes and grow all students, while we have been generating over the past couple years in our instructional teams support for teachers when they're doing this enrichment work, the fact that there's somebody leading and supporting and a resource for not only supporting best practices around working with gifted learners, but also helping us identify and apply and create work for our enrichment students during that DI block, that has been transformative work for us, and it is the beginning. But we did need to start. We had nothing on the ground, so let's be clear about that.
Yeah, so no question that moving in the right direction, just questioning whether we're doing enough. So just a couple follow-up questions.
Sure.
It was a helpful answer. I'm not sure I am clear on the difference between the 8 students that we've identified that are AIG versus, you said, 60 that are getting
Enrichment,
and there's somebody that's pushing into those classrooms to do that enrichment? Is it this
Yes.
full-time employee is doing that?
Yes, during the differentiation block. And that is enrichment as identified by the teacher in the classroom.
Okay. And so that's one person doing that for 60 students?
Yes.
And
that was her current average as about 3 weeks ago.
And in terms of the new position supports the creation and dissemination of resources, and you kind of mentioned some, curricular development. Can you say more about that? In the event that, let's say, this number increases materially, are we putting in place systems and structures that can scale quickly? And when will we know what this number is going forward?
Okay, so go back to the first one. So the first question was about the resources and the creation and dissemination of those resources. So that's something that we were working on, I think, probably the last 3 or 4 summers. We've had curriculum groups working on creating enrichment materials across the grade levels in mathematics and literacy. So that work has extended also into the middle school level over the last 2 years, because while we don't have official programming yet at the middle school, we are doing the same work at the middle school, which is identifying growth for all students, which means we have a large group of students who need enrichment material to continue to grow. So that work is in progress, and she's supporting that work, but it really came before her and can continue regardless of where she is in her ability to support that enrichment pathway. Okay, ask me
Just
a
to
second.
pause you there. So
okay.
on that, we're talking about classroom teachers using materials to do enrichment during middle school teachers.
Middle school and elementary,
Yes.
yes. And middle school teachers are doing enrichment during their learning lab time, which is every other day at the middle school, and elementary teachers are using that DI block that they have every day at the elementary school.
May I add just to this? Because
Sure.
I think the one element that sometimes can be confusing is an elementary teacher has her students all day, right? And what we wanted to do, and I remember Ms. Moore asking this, is how are we supporting the classroom teacher? Because ultimately, whether you have an AIG teacher per building, 1 in 6 schools, that teacher has those students, right? You're going to have 3 or 4 classes. So building their capacity in that toolkit, separate and distinct, your AIG students, truly students who have been identified as exceptional, exceptionally gifted. And then we have many students in this community that are truly talented and need higher levels of rigor and work. We had the opportunity to see that transfer
of capacity with the instructional teams. We actually saw it at Branchville in an after-school session. It was during the principal's evaluation, where his instructional leadership team was working with us as adults with math exemplars, right, and bringing that level of challenge and thinking that a student who is receiving enrichment, potentially AIG as well, but how that could transfer into the classroom when the teacher doesn't have another adult doing that work.
Right.
That planning, that supporting, having those tools ready and available for the gen ed classroom
Right.
teacher, especially because even for gifted students, not different than students with IEPs, especially with learning differences, their least restrictive environment is in the classroom. That's where their peers are, that's where they socialize. And we have to recognize that the planning for a third grade teacher, a second grade teacher, fourth or fifth grade teacher, when they have 25 potentially or 13 very different students, that can be very difficult. And so what we want to do is not only to provide the direct service, if able, and model that for the classrooms during the DI block on the one day that I'm there, like Mr. Palladino does on his one day that he's there, but also really transfer capacity to the classroom teacher, because they're going to have them the rest of the time, no matter how many adults we have there.
Right, and really demonstrate how to use the different materials that the teams have developed over time. So, you know, it's a multi-pronged, because sometimes the enrichment is, you know, in person, she's working with kids, pushing into the classroom, working with small groups, and sometimes it's about working with the grade level team to go through certain specific resources that would be just-in-time enrichment for this time in the math unit. And then sometimes, like Susie said, it's after school in a whole different setting.
But I think you
so I
bring
guess
up
that the idea is that it's while this is new and we're building the ship, what I'm seeing here is very exciting, because what I'm seeing is that there is student to student and teacher to teacher on the ground, just in time, really relevant professional learning in a way that our teachers have not had that support before. Traditionally, teachers are used to getting support and helping kids who struggle. And again, often for many districts, that's the first line, and that's important. All kids are important. Having this person and having someone who's dedicated to real instructional practices that are not in our toolbox yet, to have that person there who can point me and guide me through some of that work on a regular basis really is making a transformational impact. And again, it is the beginning, but none of this was able to happen as efficiently and as, I mean, I think I already said in real time, but I think it's hard to diminish the impact of a person in your room working with your own students, modeling this work. That really brings it to life in a way that a big one-day PD does not.
And
So
I think-
I'm not sure if I answered all your questions, Mr. Littman, but I think I started to. I'm not sure if I got through the remaining ones.
I just want to say, in terms of Mr. Littman raising the question of, like, is it enough? Is it adequate? You used a different term, but essentially that's the concept. And I think, I don't know that we for sure know that answer at this moment in time. And what I believe Corey is saying is, when we come back to say this is the model, right? And now look, this is the number of students that are growing, that we're now using our new assessment tools to determine who really belongs in AIG. That may absolutely grow. But as we've also spoken about tonight, is I think the board wants that data to say, we do need more, right? And I don't think we're prepared to do that in the month of November. It's just too early to do so. But we're not afraid to ask. We just want to ask when it's the right time.
Can I just ask a question?
Rachel, sorry.
It's me.
No, I know. Rachel, just give me 1 minute. Wyatt's just going to complete his question, then I'll come to
Oh,
you.
okay, I want to bounce off of what
Not to
Wyatt was
monopolize,
asking.
just to nail down on the numbers and kind of knowing what we're looking at in terms of need. I'm hearing we have 8 students that have tested to
Currently.
qualify for AIG. Is
Currently.
that out of 1,800 elementary students?
Currently.
And does that track with what we would expect? Is that what other DIRGs have? Is that nationally what you see?
2 to 3% of the population is what typically is seen across our communities.
So that's way, way lower than that.
2 to 3%. But now we just started the testing phase. We're in the month of November. So different kids come up at different times, right? So we're not testing every student at go all at the same time.
Correct.
Those referrals come from parents. Those referrals come from teachers. Children show their uniqueness at different times. So the potential of that number going up or rising, Mr. Lippman is true. And also,
Like
we have
7x, it would be 7x, 7 or 8x that number.
so
if we
2
were-
to 3% of the 18, if you were assessing all of the students
Yeah.
at the exact
So
same time.
when will we be next assessing?
Well, what we've created is a pathway, an enrichment pathway.
Yeah.
So there's criteria for enrichment on a day-to-day basis that students might need, at like in a one-off or a one unit, like in a fraction unit. And then there's also, we have criteria for students who receive something called Tier 1 plus enrichment. So as we are creating that pathway and students are entering Tier 1 plus, when they go through a full cycle of Tier 1 plus, which wouldn't be yet in the year, then we determine if they need more than what that Tier 1 plus plan is providing for them in terms of meeting their needs.
But at some point during this academic year, we'll know whether we're going forward have material more than 8 students that require these services.
Yes, we will.
And my last question, I promise.
And I
is,
do
are
have to
we-
say,
yeah.
it's really hard to compare district by district
Yeah.
because not every district uses their own criteria, the same exact criteria and cut points, and that's actually not a requirement across the state of Connecticut.
Are we
So
still
if you move
working-
to
yeah.
a new district, you'd have to be evaluated, yeah.
Are we still working with the consultant that
Yes.
came?
Yes,
And
Dr.
what is
Brown.
her role at this point?
She is still working with us, and she's still mentoring our new teacher. She's coming in district. Actually, she was supposed to come at the end of October, and then we had many things. So I think she's coming back in February. Miss Johnson's not next to me to remind me, but she's going to come back for an in-person presentation with our new specialist to the board.
So she's
in February.
She's in budget going forward for
Yes,
us.
yes, and she will be in our proposed budget moving forward.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Rachel?
Yeah, hi. So, Ms. Gillette or Dr. De Silva, could you just explain for kind of the public and the board, the FTE responsibilities, I guess, and kind of student responsibilities that maybe a middle school teacher would have in their numbers? So like everybody's aware that there are teachers at different grade levels that work with a number of students, like a larger number of students, just so we're, she's working, the AIG person is working with 8 right now and pushing in, you know what I mean, and working with 60. You get what I'm saying?
I understand. Yes, I think I understand, Rachel. What you're asking for us to clarify is there's class size, which is your traditional classrooms, let's just say your elementary teacher serving all of second grade, or your English teachers at the high school that have an average class size of 19. That is different than a service provider, let's say an MTSS, reading enrichment educator, or a math interventionist, or a gifted teacher, or in some cases even our special education teachers' caseloads might be different. And that's based on the number of students that they might have, and that ebbs and flows, right? So interventionists may have 10 students this 6-week cycle, and then that changes to 8, and then they might have 20 at another time. In this particular case, the responsibilities of the AIG teacher, which we name 2 different groups of students. One is the AIG student. That is very different. That is a very specific population of children who have been identified as exceptional or academically, intellectually gifted, as we've defined here in Richfield. Second to that is students who require enrichment to access their experience in school. And that, let's just say if we took the average of 10 kids, which of course never works out this beautifully, but 10 kids per school, they would be in that school, let's say, and we're a 6-day cycle, day 1, working with those 10 students, which are probably in a few different grade levels, and they'd be modeling and supporting the plan for the classroom teacher and how they're working with that population of kids. They're not responsible for a lot of the other things that come alongside those kids. That's different. But that's the intervention work that they would be doing. They may actually have a school that doesn't have any gifted students where they're providing that direct service. So that might just be in another school. Is that I'm hoping that was the question?
Thank you. That was perfect. So basically what you're saying is this FTE position for the AIG person is kind of in line with what we might see one of our other special education teachers at that level doing.
Not a special education teacher, but like an interventionist,
An
or
interventionist,
or a coach.
Yes. That's yes.
Yes. And again, as we look at those numbers and review, as children, because again, our model is students who may benefit, like this 60 that she's working with right now, they may move into the tiers, and some of them may end up in that percentage or that number of students who have been identified as AIG, because this is the group of students that require, right, some significant challenge, let's just say, in their programming. They may very well, or some of them may very well be identified as AIG, and then that number may change in a different kind of way or go up. And I think that's when we'd be looking at what type of staffing model is appropriate if this is the model that we ultimately continue through.
And have we looked at any like data, and do we have a cap for her caseload?
We don't have a cap, but really at this point, Rachel, I think she's going to be giving us the feedback on
Okay.
where we are, and alongside the work that she's already been trained in, as have many of our instructional leadership teams around
Yeah.
Dr. Brown's work.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Of course.
Susie, can I add a piece?
Yeah.
So I had the fortune this summer to be part of, I think we call it like a study group, who was looking carefully at the criteria for AIG as it relates to choice exceptional students, because the research shows that there is a proportion of students who are identified as requiring special education services who may also be identified as what we're calling AIG. And what we looked carefully is at what the research tells us about the standardized tools that Ridgefield is using, and this was in coordination with Dr. Brown. She was part of this study group. And we studied the measures, particularly the cognitive and standardized achievement measures that we're using, and made some decisions actually to revise components of the eligibility criteria so that they were not discriminatory or unfairly biased towards students who may be choice exceptional. And that was really based on studying the research and what we learned from other districts that have this process before us. So I think it's important that the community knows that, one, we recognize that that population exists and that they're an important population who may also require AIG services, but also that the district is studying what the research tells us about that population and how we have to create eligibility criteria that is as unbiased as possible.
Thank you. Christine?
Thank you for this. I know we were excited about adding this new position, so I appreciate the feedback. And I do have a few questions just to clarify, or I can't recollect. Is it grades 3 through 5 that we're doing this? Or
Two.
2 through 5?
Mhm.
2 through 5, okay. And the 8 students who meet the criteria they're kind of over here because they're separate, and they could be receiving their services push in or pull out depending on what they need. And is it ELA and or math?
It depends on how they were identified as gifted.
Okay, so that's more of an almost like an
Absolutely,
okay,
and that's what I'm
individualized
very,
plan.
very much in support of.
Okay, absolutely, I agree. When it comes to the enrichment piece, I just have a couple of questions. Is that ELA and or math? Or
Yes.
that's only ELA and math, I
That's
would think?
both ELA and math.
Both ELA and math, okay. And I guess my brain was kind of, I was thinking along the same lines as Wyatt, in the sense that every elementary school class is heterogeneously created, correct?
Yeah.
So in that regard, you would have students in every class that needed enrichment.
Correct.
In ELA and or math.
Correct.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around how one person is possibly doing this for grades 2, 3,
She's
4,
not.
and 5.
She's not. She's supporting that.
Right.
She's supporting it.
Right. And
She's
I'm wondering
supporting
how-
teachers in doing so.
Right, so she's helping to create materials, so say for a 5th grade multiplication of fractions lesson, you've got 3, generally speaking, you may have 3 levels. You may teach your mini lesson, and then you have students who need remediation, you have students who are on grade level, you have students who need enrichment. And I know our programs provide that differentiated, those materials. But is she also, is she adding to that? Is she, you know what I mean? So she's providing the enrichment for the gen ed teacher, and the gen ed teacher then has the 3.
So it does really depend on how the principals based on the students in the classes that they have. And then sometimes when they have slightly larger class sizes, how they decide to utilize the specialists in supporting students during that DI block. And that does depend on, like I said, the grade, the number of kids in the class, perhaps the needs of the class. Because you see from our data that we have many students that require enrichment.
Right.
So those enrichment materials have been created already. So there is enrichment materials in math and ELA easily available to our teachers on any day to go with any lesson. Some of it is included, like you said, in our resource, and some of it has been created by our instructional teams and are available to teachers.
Before this teacher.
Correct.
Okay.
So this teacher can work with a team and saying this new unit's coming up. Let me just show you what they are. Let me give you a quick overview of what different materials is available, what that enrichment experience looks like. We got to sit in with one of the math specialists who is teaching teachers how to use exemplars, which I don't know if you've heard of exemplars, but they've been around, still good.
Yes.
Still a great resource. So she was teaching teachers how to use
Yes.
this. We got it wrong. How to use it, and also how to make it mild, medium, or spicy, right? So how to even make it easier, harder, whatever.
Okay.
More difficult. So that could be part of her work. The thing that I'm so excited about, and I think what's been hard for me to articulate clearly, obviously, according to the questions, is that because the principals with their instructional leadership teams get to decide on what our person's schedule and what that looks like, they really are maximizing her either to work with groups of teachers or to pull kids. Because sometimes there's a grade level that has a bunch of kids that if she pulls them and then sets them up for 1 or 2 days of work and enrichment, she's really allowing the classroom teachers who don't have those students at that time to focus on the remaining students of the class. So she's making the class sizes smaller by being able to work with a group of kids who absolutely need her support to enrich. And she's also supporting the teachers. So it really depends on, that's not her only work, but it really is strategic and planned in concert with the principals. And I've been really, really excited to see how they have strategized and maximized how they want to use her and with who. Who is she giving coaching to around the materials for the upcoming units, and who is she actually pushing in with and providing that direct support or providing coaching support. So she really is like a specialist and a coach at the same time.
Okay.
Do you think I explained that?
Yeah, that was very helpful.
Because
I really appreciate that.
if 50% of our students in 3, 4, and 5 received over, a 3 in mathematics, that is many. There's no way she could do enrichment for everybody.
Of course.
But there are ways and times that she can help, just like we wanted, teachers either with resources or actually by delivering that instruction to students.
And
as that pathway, as we get into that pathway and make sure that our criteria continues to be correct in capturing the students that need to be captured, which is a little bit of you have to tinker with it a little bit as you see how many kids are actually being captured. Really, that Tier 1 plus pathway, we really want her leaning into that because those are kids who could then be moving into the AIG, identification.
Okay.
Did I explain that?
Yeah, that was very helpful, and it also helped me to make another connection in the sense that it can almost be like a game day decision. It can also, it can be unit by unit.
Yes.
Teachers can need more
The
help in this
ILT could make
particular
it,
unit
they could
versus
look at
this
the
particular
data
unit.
and say, look at what we saw in this class, that this group of students, they already know the content of the unit that's coming up. So how are we going to be enriching this group of students?
Right, okay. So I see. Okay, so just keep us posted if you need more.
Sure thing.
Because it does sound like she's doing an awful lot, and we appreciate that.
And I do have to say, in 30 years of teaching, I have never seen the quality of gifted instruction that this specialist is providing. I have never seen that. And I've worked in many districts, and I have consulted in many, 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 many more. I mean, the high quality of instruction that students are receiving due to this is an exceptional educator in the training that she has had. I don't know how to do that. So I think that this board should be proud of this investment. And yes, sometimes you got to take one step at a time. But that, to me, is the goal. That is the goal, that you're getting that high quality differentiated, just right instruction for a gifted learner who learns differently.
Right.
Just the way that she asks questions, everything is strategic. It is not a one-size-fits-all gifted program. I don't want that. I've seen that. It doesn't make sense to make all students study myths.
Right.
What if I'm gifted in math? It doesn't make sense. And I know that's how programs were designed 40 years ago for gifted ed, but that actually does not meet the needs. And Dr. Brown has done an exceptional job in preparing us, and I know she will help us moving forward and really actualizing it. But yes, we're at the beginning. We very much are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. She sounds fantastic. We're very lucky.
We are.
Thank you.
We are.
Thank you. Any other questions? Moving on. The approval of the RPS gift. Do we have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education accept with gratitude and appreciation a gift of $5,167.40 from an anonymous donor to be used to forgive outstanding lunch balances for students qualifying for free and reduced price meals, totaling $5,167.40 as of October 31st, 2025.
Thank you, John. Do we have a second? Selena. All those in favor of approving this? Unanimous of the members present. Thank you so much to the anonymous donor. Thank you truly so much. All right, financial report. Jill, quick.
So as of the end of October, we are sailing right along. We're at about 91.6% of our total appropriation. So we have either expended or obligated $109,687,655 at this point. All of our department account codes continue to operate within budget parameters. We're bringing two things to your attention. That's electricity and student tuition. We mentioned during our committee meeting that we are awaiting the reinstallment of the solar panels after our roof projects this summer. It's not uncommon. We don't own those solar panels, so we are at the mercy of our vendors. They want to get them up there quickly too, because it makes them money as well. We're expecting that those go up by the end of November, is what I've been told. So we have adjusted our numbers. Mr. McAvoy, you asked me to quantify that. It's about $10,000 shift at Scotland and $30,000 at Ridgeberry. Ridgeberry was earlier, longer days, sunnier days, so that's why the greater total there. We may or may not hit that, but we'll keep you informed as the school year goes on. And then, of course, the volatility of student tuition. As more students are identified as in need about placement, those numbers shift. Our threshold for meeting excess cost reimbursement goes up when our per pupil expenditure goes up. So it's same roller coaster ride as last year, the year before, and every other district. So we're watching those two things, and we'll keep you informed.
Thank you, Jill. Are there any questions? John?
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Could you help me understand again? I'm sure you've explained this once already, and I apologize, but right now for medical benefits, we've either spent or encumbered $3.5 million more than the budget?
Sure. So we encumber the annual amount, and that's the annual cost. As we go through the year, employees have their contribution rates according to their, contractual obligations, right? And we collect those as the year goes on, and then we apply them to those lines. So we don't even start until we get to the January, February timeframe, and you will see that come closer and closer to zero. The teacher's retirement gives a subsidy. That's about $400,000 per year. It's paid quarterly as those come in for our retired members. That will go to the line as well. So we'll see that come to zero, and we'll likely have some sort of surplus there. Not large, but some is what we estimate. Does that answer your question? Great.
Any other questions? Or hearing none, do we have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education accept the financial report ending October 31st, 2025.
Thank you, John. Do we have a second? Christine, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Unanimous of the members present. Transfers. John, do you want to first make a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the transfers presented on November 10th, 2025.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Christine? Jill?
There were two transfers in the month of October. One was what you gave me permission to do for the purchase of the van last month, so you see that. And then in the facilities department, we transferred $3,600 from the projects line at Scotts Ridge, at Ridgeberry, at East Ridge, and Scotland, all going into the high school projects line. That is for the purchase of glycol to bring that loop to a non-freezing temperature that was recommended by the vendor.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the transfers? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the transfers, please raise your hand. Unanimous of the members present. Thank you so much. All right, correspondence to the board. Public comment.
David Epstein in Cameron Place. Hi, everyone. I want to start by congratulating on the foreign language, the presentation last time. We're in an amazing place now. But the flip side of that I didn't see anybody acknowledge is how long, of course, that it took and all the thousands of students that weren't able to do it, as I've said before in front of this board, because I think of the timidity of the board. My point here isn't to bash the foreign language program. It's really in a great place, and I want to acknowledge that, but I see us making the same mistake now with the gifted and talented program. Here's where I would tip my hat to Mr. Littman, if memory serves me correctly. He was the only one that had the courage to stand up and say, hey, we're not doing enough last year when it became budget time. The problem with this bureaucratic sort of glacial moving of the gears is that it just takes so long to do everything. As Mr. Litt rightfully pointed out, it's only November. We barely have any data, but by the time we get to the next thing, and then we're already in budget season, and here we are again. Meanwhile, hundreds of kids, not 8, not even 50 or 60, but hundreds of kids are being affected by this. As the parent of one of these kids, it's been disappointing that there has been no engagement with the parents to talk about what it's been like before. People, even the last time I was here, asked me to reach out. I've reached out. No one came back. It seemed like a big black hole. But I think we're on the wrong spot. One of the key characteristics, at least from the parents' point of view, is that it doesn't move fast enough. Yes, there are kids that may be better in math or better at English or whatever it is, but the entire pace of things, so these kids have an ability to absorb faster. When we had these conversations 6 months ago, I think you asked, well, what about skipping grades? And obviously there's problems with that. The problem, it's just that the class, especially with the larger class sizes that we're seeing, especially with the move of the least restrictive environment, bringing people from special ed in, there's just too much. And so the two dirty words that really are coming around this table, in my opinion, are enrichment and differentiation. Not because those are dirty words, but because those are being used as a cover, as a smokescreen for not really addressing the problem, which is there needs to be a dedicated track for these people, because across the board, across the subject, it's really interesting, Mr. Litt, because you basically said the opposite, so I'd love to converse with you further, but I'm telling you that as a parent, these kids feel like they are rotting in the classrooms. My daughter was made to repeat third grade math because there was just not because she was bad at it, but because she had already done it before, and there was just no facility to sort of move that along. I understand that I'm a little bit of a hypocrite because of the lack of the district-wide able to do that, and I'm forever thankful to Superintendent De Silva and Ms. Gillette. My daughter got this sort of special track, which was great. Again, no one for the board has even asked how that was, what were the pros or the cons. I would encourage you to do that. But that solution either is not scalable, not sustainable. I think we're missing the mark here. And I don't want us to be in the same way we were with foreign language, where we're half a century behind other school districts introducing elementary foreign language program. It could be another 20 years before I think we get this gifted and talented program where we need. I think there needs to be more dialogue, there needs to be more alacrity, there needs to be more
Mr.
urgency
Epstein,
around
it's
it.
time.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Correspondence report?
Since our last meeting, the board has received email correspondence from parents, students, and other community members sharing their thoughts on policy 5131.8 on personal electronic devices, also the usage of technology at the elementary school level. We received one email regarding the process by which correspondence to the board is managed, and we received one email about the date of the high school graduation ceremony.
Thank you. John, we are at the end of the meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Second? All those in favor of adjourning the meeting? So done. Have a good evening.